where's Ashley? He was like, I'm on time. Where?
Where is she at?
We are waiting.
Is the on time in the room with him?
Right now.
I have it playing in the background, just as like reference.
The episode?
Yeah.
Nice. I've watched it now a few times.
I watched it twice last night. My mom is like, why? It's like it ends, and I'm like, okay, restart.
Yeah, same. I watch it on my phone. Like we watch it on the TV, and then I go into my, cave, I guess, and watch it on my phone. Start taking notes from there. There she is. Okay, hold on. Send the invite. We got Ashley coming in.
You there?
Hello?
No.
Hello.
There she is.
There she is. Okay.
Welcome.
And now we are all here, all four of us. So I think let's get going. What general question? What did everybody think of the episode?
I liked it.
I liked it.
I keep liking it. I'm having a good time.
We're having a good time over here. Nothing really to complain about.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that comes out that I was like, wow.
I would like to say this is probably my favorite Damon and Harrenhal episode. Like, I loved the developments of what was happening here. And I feel like we're so close to getting the lads. I can taste it.
I agree.
It's happening. It's going to happen.
I mean,
He was on his way out.
Maybe we don't want to talk about this yet. Maybe we want to do it in order. But like,
Okay.
did the kid kill his grandpa?
No.
Well, hold on. Maybe.
I don't know. Damon had a smirk that had me thinking.
When he said that Alys was their healer, Alys was over there trying to help. I think Alys might have helped that along.
I think so too.
And this is, I guess we can talk about this. Let's just start off, I guess, at the top talking about Damon's stuff. First, like that scene, the show is trying to drive me crazy because the one time someone else says Alys's name, but that person and Damon are alone.
Mm-hmm.
But once again,
is he really?
Is she real? Is she an owl?
I think she's. It's like all of the above. She's real.
Check. She's all the above.
I think she's a part of Harrenhal. I think she's a witch. I think she's probably been alive for a really long time, and she may not even be a bastard daughter of House Strong. She may be a descendant of House Strong, but who knows how long she's been around? Like, these are my questions that I have to ask. Is Alys really in her 40s, or is she more like in her 400s?
Yeah, for sure. No, she's definitely old as shit. And I think I definitely think she's like a warg, like a skin changer.
Yeah, I think
And
she has those
so
characteristics.
because a character in A Song of Ice and Fire is actually a witch. Like, that is what I'm so excited about, because it's not like, oh, this is what misogyny was saying about her. Oh, this is what the rumors were. No, she's just a witch.
She's actually a witch.
She's actually not a bad person. Like, she's not. I think that she's doing awesome. I think what she's doing is awesome.
I would like to bring up that, speaking of Alys, there's the scene between Larys and Aegon where we get a mention of a member of House Strong who was accused of sorcery.
Yes.
So it's like, that seemed like, if this was the book, I would definitely think Alys Rivers when I read that line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, it has to be. Like, it would be very weird and silly to include that bit if it wasn't for us to go, Alys, yes. So she is real. Like, that's the thing. Like, she is real. Like, people are experiencing her.
That was good. I actually liked that was confirmed, that, like, she's not just a fake, or she's not just a spirit of Harrenhal. Like, she's there, she's real, people are aware of her.
No, I think she's, I'm telling you, she's like a mouthpiece for Harrenhal. Like, there's something else there, and she is sourcing her power from it. The old gods, the curse, all the different things, the weirwoods. But she seriously reminds me of, like, a guide in a video game. And either you take their advice or you don't. And you either defeat the big boss or you don't. Which in this case would be, like, Viserys. and defeating him, comforting him, and having emotion with him.
I love how we all knew, like we were talking about it last week, that Viserys was going to be the final boss, and he absolutely was. Let's see.
Okay, so should we start at the beginning with the Lannisters? Because right away, just being a little bitch. Just that energy is just...
I would like to give props to, oh crap, I had his name. I forgot his name already. The actor. Because he has two very distinct accents between Jason and Tylan. And I think he's doing a great job. Because Jason is just... I hate him so much. And he's
such
just
a pompous prick. I love how he brought lions. I was like, oh my God. Literal.
Yes, he brought...
lions.
Look, I understand wanting to bring your kitties everywhere.
Right. Keep him out of the war. Like,
I don't have dragons, but I'm going to show you my lion.
my lion.
Yeah. Because that's really going to make a difference with the dragon.
Get out of here, please. Just get the hell out of here. And yet you can't... I mean, I've got to give, like, Aemond his props. He's like, you can't do this without me. Like, I have to step in and hold your hand. What?
I did love that. I love that he was engaging that kind of power play, though. That he's like, yeah, I'm here, but I ain't leaving until you bring a dragon. Because, like, why the fuck would they go face a dragon without a dragon?
That is very true.
Like that's silly. That's just goofy.
People are pointing out in the comments, Juggy and April both told me it's Jefferson Hall. That's his name. Who was also Sir Hugh in the original first season of Game of Thrones.
Oh, looky there.
He pops up in a lot of stuff, that actor. He's in Vikings, too, in the early seasons, maybe two.
Ashley, who is that?
This is Dunk.
Hi, Dunk.
This is Dunk.
Welcome to the show.
Little baby Dunk.
Look
He's
at
getting
this.
so big. He's getting so big now. Look at all that.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
He's getting
He's
so
so adorable.
So what came next? Was it Darkland? Is that the next scene?
Yes. No, we get Aemond firing Alicent.
Oh right. Get back in the kitchen.
Oh, actually, I love that so much because it's like this is the child that I honestly think it's like I like Aemond and Alicent's sides in both of this because she's like, when is enough going to be enough? Like, when are you going to be okay with what happened to you in your childhood? But
Never.
then also at the same time, I see Aemond's side of it because it's like, okay, you've emotionally depended on him for so long, which is like, there's such an emotional incest thing that was going on between Alicent and Aemond. Like, she leaned on him so much. And when was it, Alicent, that you were going to defend your child? When were you going to actually take care of him? And it didn't involve you trying to knife somebody. Like, I mean, that was the one time where I saw a clear distinction where she was standing up for him and being his mom. Any other time, it was always Alicent leaning on Aemond. And that's so, like, you can see why he's so emotionally dysfunctional, why he's seeking that mother in other people because he didn't get it from her. Like, he has no motherly figure that he was actually able to depend on.
Yeah, Stab Saucy Boy, the contrast between Aemond firing Alicent and Jace saying he wants his ruler to be his mother. Like, I love Jace saying that. Like, fuck yeah. Like, him saying, like, you don't have to change. You don't have to masculinize yourself to be a powerful person and to be my queen. You know? Like, he's like, being mother is powerful. And I just was like, thank you, Jace.
I do feel for Rhaenyra in that moment because she's so frustrated.
Aemond, Farrah, Aemond's brothel mommy turning against him too. Brothel mommy.
You know, I think that, okay, so I would like to clarify on that. I don't think that she's ever really been for him. I think she probably feels a certain sympathy for him, but also at the same time, she's fully aware that he's a monster.
Well, and there was a shift. There was a shift when that scene happened where Aegon is making fun of him and he stands up and he's like, a whore is a whore is a whore. Like, I think that, you know, for her, she was like, okay, bitch, fine. A whore is a whore is a whore.
They're babying you this entire time and then you're going to turn on me like that. Okay.
After she had explicitly, like, said to him on, you know, multiple occasions that when princes go to war, when princes get angry, it's people like her who suffer. And then for him, just at the drop of a hat, to be like, you're a dumb whore. you know? Like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Back to the Aemond and Alicent stuff. This is a slight mention, I think, of like Cersei, because everyone's trying to marry Alicent off already. And then at the same time, I think back to what I think something that Ashley was saying about Aemond and Alicent's relationship is that even when she's defending him over his eye, part of that is not just her being a mother. That's also about her defending her position, which I think comes in. Yeah. That's what Otto sees when he like is like, I guess, turned on by how his daughter can fight in the next scene.
I mean, it says something. It says a lot about you that your only emotionally like well son, who it sounds like is Daron,
was not like, raised by her.
Which we'll see.
When her brother says he is kind, and I was just like that hurts. That hurts, because to know that he is kind and he is good and he should probably be left out of this, and yet he's going to get dragged into it.
Well, we saw in the trailer.
And his dragon, who only just became rideable. Like, this is a baby dragon that just became appropriate size to ride. 3 years old, maybe. Like,
I mean, yeah, just let Daron be kind and good over there. Like, let Aemond be dysfunctional. Like, don't drag him into it.
Leave Tessarion alone.
She's like, and she's so pretty.
On?
No,
I don't believe so.
But, okay, so like for that whole thing between like the sheep stealer discovery, do you think that means there is definitely going to be no nettles, or do you think that Rhaena just sees evidence of sheep stealing?
I think there's not going to be a nettles.
So, okay, that's my serious take, but I'm going to put the clown makeup on and put my tinfoil on that says Rhaena is going to witness nettles in the Vale. So maybe we'll see.
See,
that would suck so badly. Like
it would be pretty bad. Thank you for the glasses. Whoever said that, I missed who said
she's
that.
like, she finally sees this big wild dragon and watches somebody else claim it.
Yeah.
That was
Poor Rhaena. Gosh, she just does not get a chance for the dragons.
But with that scene with Jane and Rhaena has the dragon toy, and they were cutting between like when Jane specifically says, the ship will be here in a few days to take you to Pentos. Like, we're cutting to the dragon toy and her holding it. It's like, we're clearly being shown that she's going to at least confront that dragon.
Yeah.
No, I definitely think they're combining the storylines. And I mean, I have lots of gripes about that. Lots. But in the context of the show, if that means that we're going to get more of a relationship between Damon and Rhaena, I don't mind that. Like, I'd like to see Damon have a relationship with one of his daughters.
I'd like to see him have a relationship with any of his children, because like that is the one thing that I have not liked about the show that's deviated from Fire and Blood. And I know Fire and Blood is up for interpretation, but I really wish they had included more of Damon's paternal side. That's about the only notes that I really have. It's like he's very, very dismissive of his children. And I would have liked to have seen something better with that. But other than that, I feel like the show's done a really good job with his character.
I also, Juggy brings up a good point that I agree with, but we have to wait because I'm basing this on leaks I've heard. So I want to wait until everything's confirmed. But they could be splitting Nettle's importance up between multiple characters.
True.
I would like to judge that in the way that they're going to do it. So we'll see. But as I do hold out the possibility that they're telling Nettles' story without the individual Nettles.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Okay.
What's next?
Mr. Freezy, I don't think that Rhaenyra is getting boring. I think she's getting more chaotic, actually. I'm starting to like Rhaenyra less and less. And
She's getting stir crazy.
That's just me being honest. Like, I can understand some aspects of what she's saying, but I'm also starting to see more of where the shift with Rhaenyra into like where she has like where she should have been a good ruler, and like the goals that she had originally were very good, and now we're coming to
Look at her face.
Who is that?
That's Ellie. I just realized she was back there, and she just looks like a goober.
It kind of looks like her face is printed on the pillow.
Yeah, she's like stuck in that pose.
The way her like ears are with like her underbite eyes. I'm sorry. Anyway.
But I mean, yeah, I think that the shift with Rhaenyra is starting to happen. I'm liking her less and less as time goes on, but for various reasons. Mostly because she talks about not wanting to getting the dragons involved, and yet now she's getting them fully involved. And it's like, you've already lost Meleese. That should have been a lesson in and of itself, that when you get dragons involved in war, like, the only thing that it causes is death and destruction, and no one wins.
How do y'all feel about the Visenya undertones they're giving her?
I think she's going about things the wrong way. I mean, I get where she's coming from and the frustration, but I also feel like she's not very much of Visenya either, because think of how Visenya dealt with things, man. Okay, so Visenya was confrontational, but she also knew when to, like, not be confrontational. You know, I feel like what we get of Visenya's character is, I mean, yes, there is, like, a lot of aggression there, but then there's also not, like, how she handled things in the Vale. Like, she handled that without any sort of issues or battles or anything like that. And I just feel like Rhaenyra thinks she's being Visenya-like when really she's getting into a whole different territory.
I thought it was really interesting.
I was kind of preparing myself for a, like, maybe she secretly trains with somebody, a la like Arya or Jaime, but that didn't happen.
Right.
I mean, it could still happen, right?
Yeah, she could be taking lessons on the side off screen.
It could. We could see. But yes, I kind of felt like it was going that direction because she was picking up swords. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see. 2 more episodes.
Renee, I would love to see a training montage like Rocky, you know? She's like running down the beaches of Dragonstone like Rocky. That'd be funny.
I think it's interesting how when Rhaenyra was talking to Jace about Visenya, Jace said something to the effect of, like, is that really what you want to be channeling? Like, that was a long time ago. I just like this idea that Jace is kind of questioning what they know of their family. And, like, this idea of, like, what do we actually know about Visenya? Because you guys know how I feel that, like, they made her out to be, like, this sorceress who was infertile and all of these different things because she was a threat to the status quo of the patriarchy of Westeros. So they had to malign her some way. And they did it with Rhaenys too by making her a whore, saying, oh, maybe her son isn't actually Aegon's son. And so I like that Jace is having that mindset of, like, what are these histories for? Who do they serve?
Yeah.
Which is like inserting for the audience the kind of, like, framework that you should have while you're reading the book, basically. Jace is kind of like this insert from the book.
Which that is the most exciting part of the lore for me as a book reader. So I'm just glad that the show is even diving into it. Whereas, you know, Game of Thrones was cutting out a lot of stuff like that.
There was a comment I saw, I can't find it now, but it said something about when we were talking about Nettles, that the show was making Hugh Hammer sympathetic in a way that was, like, comparable to Nettles. I can't find the comment, but suggesting that Hugh Hammer, they're making him sympathetic. I feel the opposite. Every time I see him, I like him less, man.
Oh my gosh. I'm aggressively, like, hating him more and more. Like,
I don't like him. I don't like him at all.
I cannot stand Hugh Hammer. Like, I can't stand either one. Like, I don't trust Ulf or Hugh. Like, both of them
I would choose, if I had to choose, if you had a gun to my head and you're like, Ulf or Hugh, I would choose Ulf. Like, and it wouldn't honestly even be that hard of a decision.
Yeah.
I am not into Hugh Hammer at all.
As soon as Hugh said that the dragons were just meat, I was like, you know what? I hate you. I literally hate you.
All this like talk about meat, like, it's when they make cries, it's not for food, it's for meat. We want meat, we want meat. And then you have Hugh Hammer saying the dragons are just meat. And then you know that the storming of the dragon pit is coming up. And so there's, like, this part of me that's like, are they setting it up that, like, that's going to be part of the motivation for the storming of the dragon pit is food?
I really hope we don't see them eating dragons.
I mean, think about it though, as a consequence of the war, and they're giving all of the sheep, all of their food to the dragons, and they even make commentary on that. Oh, you have sheep for your dragons, but not for the people. Like,
Also,
and then you have Hugh Hammer, who's like, it's just meat.
yeah. Also, the thing with Hugh just taking the carrots off that guy, like that lost it for me. Like, I don't think I feel bad for you anymore.
I can understand to an extent if his daughter is still like alive at this point, why he's trying to desperately get her help and make sure that she gets nourishment. But the way he's going about it is barbaric.
Look, we saw him and his wife. They were both out there because he looks back at his wife. But in last episode, the daughter looked like she was dead, like she was
She
gray.
was gray, dude, like gray.
So I think that the daughter has, and he's just trying to look out.
I think she is alive. I had thought she was dead at that point, but I feel like they would have brought that up.
Okay, in the comment, Brittany says, "What if the winter sickness after the war is a consequence to those who potentially ate dragons?" Because like, you probably shouldn't eat reptiles, and like godlike reptiles, magical reptiles. Like, I feel like there's going to be a consequence to that.
There would definitely be a consequence. I think a consequence to eating magical beings that.
Okay, Voldemort. Like, that's what Taryn said yesterday when I said that in the chat. She was like, "Chill out, Voldemort."
They're literally responsible for the balance in this world, and you're going to eat them? Let's see.
I don't know what it's about. But then isn't there the thing that dragon blood, it's like boiling?
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't, that's why I'm like a little like, they could be there for food, but I mean like getting rid of dragons.
Okay, wait. I'm not saying it's going to be like successful, like that they're going to successfully eat these dragons. I'm just saying that I feel like they're setting the stage for that to be a motivator.
Yeah, the way I see it is just like the dragons.
In the book.
The way I see it is that the dragons eat too much, so they have to be gotten rid of. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, because they also have fish. And I think that's why they're focusing on meat, because they don't have sheep. You know, they have fish because that's all they can get right now, because that's you know, they're right by the water. Yeah,
so if they can't get sheep, they'll get the thing that's eating the sheep.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, not necessarily, not as direct as like.
I don't know, man. Have you ever been starving? Like starving? I think you'll probably eat anything. People get to the point that they eat other humans. I think they definitely eat dragons.
Oh, yeah.
That would be, I think, a funny scene for the first person to take a bite and their face burns off.
Yeah,
like I said, I'm not saying that this would be like a literal thing that they then eat the dragons. I'm just saying that it seems like they're setting it up as a motivation.
Yeah, I agree. Why is the show pretending that all food goes to the blockade? Is the reach no longer? Yeah, about the South. I think they're just, well, the thing is just that they're too much of it is going to the dragons. I agree, they're kind of lampshading it a little bit, but it's just, you know, it's the show. It's not the book, and they don't have the time to go into telling all those stories.
I blocked that person.
Oh, actually, yeah, food is also going to the soldiers. That's another good thing as well. War is, yeah, it puts a strain on everybody, and I like that the show is playing with that.
That's a good question, Haley. Do you think Stormcloud will fly off with Aegon because, like, he's so small? I mean, he's a teeny tiny baby.
He's a
It was so cute to see him sitting there.
So I don't know if they're going to make the dance last longer than a year, because in the book it only lasts a year. But right now, like, I mean, you said it, like the dragons are like little bitty babies. The boys are toddlers. So yeah, it's going to be interesting if they make it last longer than just a year, or what they're going to do with that. Because obviously Stormcloud can't save Aegon in his current condition.
Right.
I can speculate to a lot, but one thing that I am thinking about is like they are going to end this pretty firmly, I think. So they're not, I think, concerned about what comes after. But I think there may be some like collapsing of Aegon and Viserys, maybe.
I was thinking in terms of Stormcloud being able to carry Aegon.
That's what I mean. Like they may get Aegon way later because he's been kidnapped. Essentially, he would take some of Viserys' story. Essentially,
Okay, yeah.
But like I said, that's a guess. That's crazy, and it's only based on the very real issue, which is like he's too small to rescue Aegon, because we know how the story goes.
That's my thing. But I mean, at the end of the day, their ages really don't matter. Like we were talking about this the other day, because Aegon and I think at least that the show is going to end with Aegon and Jaehaera on the throne and then cut. And then it's over. So, but that just presents the only problem that I see there is Stormcloud's ability to play his part in the story. I mean, maybe he won't at all. I don't know. We'll see.
I really enjoyed that scene of seeing the children there with a baby dragon, because it's the first time that we see like the cradle hatching thing, because those dragons did hatch from the cradle, and so you can see like Rhaenyra was onto something. Rhaenyra, the queen of the West and East, that Rhaenyra, because she's who came up with the idea to have the dragon eggs in the cradle, and you can see how effective that is with the bond. Like, as children, they're just fucking sitting there, like playing, like hanging out together, and like you kind of see that with Dany, but Dany's not a child, like, so it wasn't like a cradle thing. She raises them, yes, she's the mother, but this is them growing up together.
Did y'all notice that the little baby dragon looked like little baby Drogon?
Yeah, I mean they're totally like leaning so heavily.
They look exactly like the little baby dragons from like season 2.
Okay, but can we talk about how Seasmoke and Drogon look like twins?
because Seasmoke, according to my family tree, Seasmoke and Syrax are brother and sister. And then the show is saying that Dany's dragons come from Syrax, so he's their uncle. Seasmoke is Drogon's uncle. That's why they look so much alike.
I honestly thought that Seasmoke was iconic this entire episode. Like,
this is my favorite part.
He was like, no, I'm sorry. Next, thank you. And then he went and found his own writer.
Yeah, troublemaker.
Okay,
I love
like
this little trickster boy.
This is something really interesting that I found. So when he finds Addam, when he like stalks Addam and corners him, Addam has that moment where he's like really afraid and like freaking. And then you see like Seasmoke is really aggressive, because he's like, you better, it's time to nut up or shut up, because I'm going to eat you if you don't figure it out.
It was like,
you see Addam like making eye contact, and then his like breathing slows down and he becomes comfortable. But then you see that change in attitude from Seasmoke. Seasmoke goes from I'm pissed off to okay, like we're cool.
I didn't feel like he was pissed off. I felt like he was playing with him.
Yeah, I thought he was like, oh, he's playing hide and seek.
Yeah, he's like a dog.
Yeah, no, totally. But I think that he was like aggressive at first, like maybe not pissed off, but definitely aggressive. Like, okay, either you're gonna be afraid of me and get eaten, or
he wasn't aggressive, Ashley. He was just straightforward, like we are. Let's not malign him. We know what that feels like. He just knew what he wanted and he went after it, and we know what that's like.
I love that for him. Like, know to be decisive. Like, go after what you want. I
want to say, I've seen people already talking about like that they feel like Seasmoke like tricked Darkwyn, and I don't agree, because I think he was fully going to let him mount, and then it was when he arrogantly said, "I've done it," before he's even gotten a foot or a hand on Seasmoke, and then he was like, "You fucking what, buddy? What?
Yeah.
You got what?" Like, I didn't feel like it was like.
I think that he wasn't showing the proper. Like, he was correct. He was acting cocky, but he was also terrified, and I think that Seasmoke felt that, and he was like I said, you watch Addam, and he's scared at first, but then he looks at Seasmoke, and then he's like okay.
And I also like to play a prank like that, which is a deadly prank, like that's cruel, and that's cruel in a way that I just don't believe dragons are naturally inclined to be cruel.
No, I don't think that. I think that he was fully prepared to accept him, but then he sensed that fear while also on top of like the arrogance, and he was like, you know what? I'm not feeling the vibes anymore. I'm just gonna set you on fire.
Also, because like think about like I didn't feel like it was like Seasmoke went up there and saw him and was like, I'm going to let him think I'm going to let him get on me, and then I'm going to kill him. I really just don't think that was the thought process.
I mean, he was getting ready. He literally, lined himself up to be rich. And I don't think that was a trick at all. I think he was just no longer feeling the vibe. And so he was like, you know what?
I'm pretty sure that the dragon in the veil is Sheep Stealer. Someone has asked that a few times.
Yeah, but we have absolutely no idea because we've never seen the dragon in the veil. We've only seen them the and burnt bones prove nothing.
Nope.
I'm sticking to it. Sir Stefan is still alive.
Okay, Eric.
When you sent that hashtag Stefan is alive, I cried. I was laughing so hard, and I tried to explain it to my mom, but she just like didn't understand what was so funny because she doesn't know who Quentin Martell is.
Well, everybody keeps bringing up Quentin on Twitter right now, so I have to. It's my duty.
Gotta commit to the bit, Eric.
Quentin is Tyrion's baby.
Rain, Nettles, they may have removed the character, but they may have broken the significance of the character up between different characters. So I will wait until things are over to fully judge what the show did with Nettles.
I do feel like I don't feel okay with that, but also at the same time, I understand why they've done it. And I have to remember there's supposed to be, according to George, a Fire and Blood Volume 2. Let's not hold our breath for getting it. But if there is, like, obviously, I think that Nettles' story is going to transfer into what's important in the main series. Like, we've already talked about this, but with what happens with Viserion at the end of the story about there being no magical bond. But I hope that we hear more about Nettles in Fire and Blood Volume 2, maybe get a little bit of clarity on what happens with her. Maybe we don't. I don't know. But I think that as far as the TV show is concerned, it's an interpretation. So it's not really, it's not so important to Nettles' story because Nettles' story has been told in the book. If you want to know more about her, read the book. The show doesn't have to be exactly like the book because it's an interpretation.
See, someone in the comments said removing Nettles removes key parts of Rhaenyra and Damon's relationship in the show. And for me, like my concerns about removing Nettles has absolutely nothing to do with how she impacts Rhaenyra and Damon's relationship. It has to do with everything else, literally everything else.
Rhaenyra and Damon.
For me, it's what Ashley.
Continue. Sorry.
For me, it was what Ashley was saying earlier about it establishing a connection on a blood bond.
Right, it's way more lore stuff because Rhaenyra and Damon's conflict, that's easy. That's an easy solve to put in something else. Like Nettles is not inherent to that conflict. It could be a lot of things.
No,
so, okay, question, Eric. Because you were like, we haven't seen the dragon in the veil, so we don't know who it is, which is true. Like, who, if not Sheep Stealer, who? Are you thinking like the show would introduce a completely new dragon, or you think like Silverwing is somewhere else, or?
No, that's just the way I talk. I make it a habit to like just make very clear what we know and don't know, especially because like people have been talking about leaks as if they're going to happen, and sometimes they don't happen. Like I've already seen that. Like people were talking as if like Alicent was going to go to Dragonstone like in episode 5, and like people were building whole theories and complaints about that, and it turned out to not be true. So that's just me.
Someone in the comments.
Stay away from like the other app because that's where all of those leaks and stuff happen, and I cannot stand being over there because it's like just wait, because when you see it happening in context, it's going to look very different than what you think it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the comments, someone mentioned Cannibal and Grey Ghost as possibilities, which I think Grey Ghost could be kind of cool, and it's just that we only see him. Well, nobody claims him, but we see him, and he's like elusive. Because the veil does have that kind of misty shit going on. And a lot of people are like, they say that it's contradictory to the dragon lore that there would be a dragon hanging out in the veil. But I feel like the veil is kind of perfect for dragons. Like they like to nest in caves. It's mountainous. Like it's, I guess, the temperature maybe.
This is.
I do think that Grey Ghost is definitely a possibility.
In the chat, well, look at Zat Ben. I think you were trying to say cannibal, but you wrote cannonball. And now I
think
can't.
it's on purpose to like keep it from getting flagged.
Okay, all right. Because now I can't get it out of my head. There's a dragon named Cannonball.
Yeah, and I think actually this was one of those related to one of those leaks, but going back to why would a dragon go to the Vale? Like they're going farther for food too, because there's more
wrote that into the
now.
show.
There's more dragons now than there have been in like the known history that we have. So there's less food, there's less resources, which was what we're seeing with why they have to have these tithings of sheep in King's Landing for Vhagar.
So I'd like to remind everybody again that like George is probably not subtweeting the show. And he just has these complaints about dragons all the time because dragons are very popular and they're also different than the way he does them in a lot of other mediums. But it's just like, just because there was they explained it in the show. They're ranging for more food because like you said, Rhaenyra is like the amount of dragons that are alive now is like more than there's ever been in the history of their time in Westeros.
Yeah. It's the most dragons in one place since Valyria, which is wild to think because Valyria had so many more, but
the book even says that they it's almost, that's one of my favorite lines in the book is that what was it? It was a gathering at Driftmark, I believe, where they were like, it was almost as if a new Valyria had come. And it's like, wow, y'all were really worried, Maesters.
yeah, this too, George can go off and also not hate every little thing about the show. I think this goes to this thing where people automatically assume that criticism is like this really aggressively negative thing. Like he can have an opinion and like a critique without being like, this show is shit. Like, but people immediately assume that like he makes one general critique and it's like, oh, George is throwing the whole fucking show out the window. See, it's not canon. It's bullshit.
See, people need to get off that extreme. Like, you are allowed to dislike and like things about the show. And so is George. I mean, obviously, as the author, he's allowed to like and dislike things about the show. But it doesn't mean that he hates it. There are aspects of the show that I don't like. And yet I am still very much enjoying it. I'm having a good time. Like, overall, when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, I love this. I think that it's great. Oh,
and I think like people forget that I think a lot of when it seems like George is speaking aggressively, it's not about House of the Dragon. It's about Game of Thrones. Like,
oh, yeah, it 100% is. Like, we're all still mad about Game.
Right, yeah. And he was loudly speaking against the different adaptations they were doing in Game of Thrones from like season 4. So it's like, if he really felt strongly that he disliked something, he wouldn't parse words about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's let us know how much he doesn't like that they cut Lady Stoneheart, which I fully agree with him. That's not just that Lady Stoneheart is cool. She's like part of the thematic core of the entire series.
She's fucking necessary.
Very important to like Jaime and Brienne's story, to even like the whole thing, because it's all about like, honor and knighthood and chivalry and the institutions of this world.
And the consequences of resurrection. Like, she's a precedent for many things to come.
I mean, which I am so completely invested in. I mean, we see it with, obviously with Catelyn, because her body sat for so long. And then we see it happen with Beric, even though no one wants to believe it's happening with Beric. And he gets revived as he's dying. So he's not even like, I don't think his brain has fully shut off by the time he's come back. So, and he's still losing so much of who he is. So, and I think Jon is going to be kind of somewhere in the middle to where he sits for a little too long. But like, then there's going to be multiple aspects going on there. But hold on, Theo said like a while back, he was like, all that matters is that they kissed. And I got to tell you, if more characters had kissed in this show, like so much could have been avoided. So much could have been avoided.
I was going to ask the panel. That was actually where I was headed next. What do we feel about that scene, Rhaenyra and Mysaria?
Are you kidding? I was laughing, smiling, kicking my feet.
Like, I thought it was hot. It was hot as fuck.
It was very hot. Like, I have seen this tension building between the two of them this season, and I'm like, yes.
Oh, as soon as she said, you look good with that sword in your hand, I was like, gay, gay, gay.
Talking the game, trying to get it in.
so I've seen that obviously you're going to have the people who are just a bunch of assholes like, oh, this is so woke. Let me just go ahead and tell you, George has been woke since like 1996. So you can go ahead and throw that out the window. And then also, like, are you new here? Because Targaryens don't really believe in sexuality. Like, they're very fluid. A lot of them are. So that was such a Targaryen move. And it doesn't take away from what she feels for Damon. It just means that they don't view things the way you do.
Renee, it's kind of hinted around in Fire and Blood that there was a throuple moment between Laena, Damon, and Rhaenyra.
And I feel like the book even kind of implies that there's something going on with Massaria.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leave that open.
I noticed immediately there was a certain demographic that was not into this scene, and it was very funny to kind of watch them pull their diapers over it. Because it was like the main thing that people were like trying to convince themselves of why they didn't like it was that it came out of nowhere, that there wasn't any build.
Listen, there's no agenda that's happening here. Like, this is stuff that George writes frequently. He writes sexually fluid characters.
George is in support of the gay agenda.
There's
He
so much
finds the gay agenda.
Like George was a part of the agenda. George was a part of the agenda long before most of you are. So.
Here's an example of how woke George is. George will not even call himself a feminist because he got talked to by a feminist and open to the idea that maybe a man can't really be a feminist.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean,
so many men are not ready for that conversation. My God.
So
you want to talk about men
woke,
filling their diapers? That's the conversation. It's the men who think they're doing good and calling themselves feminists, and then when you have the audacity as a woman to say maybe you shouldn't claim that space and title, how quickly their feminist morals go out the window.
And that's just like George has been doing this since the 90s. So please go somewhere else with that. Like, this show is staying consistent to how he writes.
Also, I am unapologetically going to make it gay every opportunity I get. And if that's not for you, goodbye.
Fire and Blood is told by an unreliable narrator.
Like, I think there's something going on between Sansa and Marjorie in the books. Like,
yeah.
I think that there's like a crush going on there. I'm sorry, not sorry.
Oh, Sansa's totally sapphic. Yeah. She's gonna figure that out.
I think that most of the Starks are. I think they got it from Cregan.
Oh boy, Cregan Stark again.
There's Cregan with a wig.
I don't want to get too. Sorry, there's a comment I just want to address really quickly. We only got a hint with Daenerys in the show. Wish we had gotten more. Like, I want to clarify that while Dany does have sexual relations with girls in the book, I would not call Daenerys bisexual.
No.
Like, I want to make that distinction because Dany does what she does out of loneliness, not because she is particularly sexually attracted to women or Eerie for that matter.
I would also like to say that about Cersei as well, because a lot of people confuse what happens with Cersei to be bisexual. It is not in the books. Cersei's a sadist. Like, she's looking to cause physical pain in order to get her rocks off. So that's not, and it also, okay, so there's a lot of things happening there. There's I think that's what gets her going. But I also think it's that anger at Robert and the frustration and what she had to go through with him that, like, she's causing that pain just to see if she can take that power that he had. Like, Cersei's sick. She's very, there's a lot of problems going on there. So, that's not bisexuality, that's not pansexuality. Cersei is a sadist. That would be cool.
Renee, what do we think about the idea that Alicent's hatred of Rhaenyra is because she was in love with Rhaenyra? It's at least a motivation in her repressed everything that's going on.
I think it's still going on. I think she still has those feelings for Rhaenyra. I think it hurts like hell that she can't be with. I think she'd rather be with Rhaenyra than be with Christy.
Being with Kristen is a way to it's the closest thing she'll ever have to be.
She's doing it with her ex in her room.
That's as close as she's gonna get.
Yep.
and she like that. Yeah, there's a legitimate. That's why I said if they had just kissed in the beginning, we could have probably avoided all of this.
Yeah. And I think too, when Alicent starts talking about like the gods are punishing me, I've sinned, she's not just talking about Cole. Like, she's also talking about those repressed lesbian feelings. Like, I saw this really, like, I did not like the art because it was heavily sexualized. You guys know. And it was Alicent's, like, self-flagellating or whatever the hell it's called, where you, like, whip yourself. And it's like, it was done in this really distasteful sexual way, but she is exactly that kind of woman. Like, that kind of religious woman that would cause herself physical harm because she, like, had inappropriate feelings for a woman.
I love Opus Dei, Alicent, because they also drew her with crucifixes as well, so it wasn't even like Faith of the Seven in that art. It was very funny. Where in the world is Otto Hightower?
I love this. Perfect timing. Otto, if I can't have my Targaryen, Viserys, neither can you. Like, I can't have him. Nobody gets a Targaryen.
Yeah, okay, so we're going to make everything gay. That was definitely going on with Otto when he was breaking into Aegon.
100%. Otto was like, I miss Viserys. And I was like, I bet you do.
I bet you do.
I bet you know.
Yep, I don't have to save my life.
Otto.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Like, we got you.
There's a reason. There's a reason why Viserys put the tapestries on the walls. There's a reason.
He's a freak.
What did everybody think of the sibling chat? The Hightowers.
Oh, I loved it, actually. Gwen Hightower is like one of my fave side characters. I
actually
did not expect.
That conversation
all the time, 24/7, serving cunt. That man.
I really love him. I'm loving him more and more, especially like his interactions with Alicent. Like, he could have been an asshole, but he was actually like, you could tell that he was a good brother. Like, he's not just a piece of crap. He was,
as much as he could, because they were separated. Like, that's what they talk about. And I thought it was really interesting. What?
He could look at her and be like, oh, this is all your fault, which he knows it probably is, but he's not gonna like sit there and drive in the knife because that's his sister.
I was gonna say when he was like, I'm sure you did your best. I'm like, Gawain, your sister is not a nice person.
But also that's his sister, and he like, okay, so that's definitely not helpful, but I can also understand that he's coming from a point of, I love my sister, even though I have some animosity towards her for being dad's favorite. I still do love her and care about her, and I don't want to hurt her.
Trying to find
technical difficulties. Sorry, guys.
Okay, let's see. Oh, it's gonna make me search for him. I've never had to do that before.
He said in the chat that it won't let him because he got this violation. He can't even join this live.
Oh man.
So, to the child who reported us because we are talking about gay things, I hate you.
Yeah, like grow up.
Like, are you serious? Was that really fucking necessary?
I don't see how it's hate speech to talk about. Well, you know what? I can understand how it's hate speech to some people. To some people, and to some people, you know, run with scissors.
Yeah, I was surprised too. It just was like, gone.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was like at the top of the hat. Okay, so let's see.
What happened? We got a violation for, quote, hate speech. And so Eric
for discussing LGBTQIA plus in House of the Dragon. Because apparently that's not apparently that's viewed as hate speech.
It's either that or because I said that Gawain Hightower is serving CUNT.
Oh, no.
His Hightower Gussy.
We're going to have to say rhymes with puns.
I'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah, I won't say it again. Just in case. Sorry.
Well, that's
Tuesday. Next Monday.
Yeah, that sucks. We had a really good thing.
See you next Tuesday. Okay. Never mind. I took that super literal. Eric was like, see you next Tuesday. And I'm like, but you mean Monday.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, so what have we not discussed? I feel like there's lots of things we haven't discussed.
Okay, we were talking about Alicent. Okay, so the scene with the yard.
right now I'm
between the scene between Gwen and Alicent and that conversation that they were having.
Oh, something I did want to say about that is I thought that that it was really interesting how he said to Alice, or in the conversation, it was like you didn't have a mother to like guide you, kind of a thing, and he turned out okay. And just in that conversation, like the contrast of like they did have a mother, Alicent's kids had a mother, and look at how they turned out.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And like, but like I said, I mean, yeah, he could, I mean, yes, this would be a great opportunity to be like, hey, like maybe you should have been a little bit better. But I mean, at this point, I think it's a little too late. And he feels like saying that at this point is just going to be driving the knife in. So he decides not to. Although it's not like it doesn't need to be said to Alicent. Like, yes, you massively screwed up as a parent. Massively screwed up. The only one who has, okay, so Helena is a good person, but she's still very mentally messed up from everything that's happened to her at the hands of Alicent. And yes, a part of that is the fact that she is neurodiverse coded, but the other side of that is that Alicent was a terrible mother to her. And so, like, but at the same time, these are your only two kids who have any sort of semblance of normal, and one of them was not even raised by you. Yeah. And had really nothing to do with you. And the reason why he writes to you less and less is because he has nothing to do with you. Like when she's like, he writes to me less and less now, I'm like, yeah, that checks, actually.
I mean, it should give you,
how Gwen was like,
give you some context clues.
He's like, well, he is a 16-year-old boy, so there's that too. He has other things he's doing. I love it.
Gwen's like, he's super busy. And I'm like, oh, or does Daron just think, oh, yeah, Aegon and Aemond? He has to know at this point that Aegon and Aemond are probably not very good people. And he's like, I'm just going to distance myself from all of you because you're all dysfunctional.
Farrah asked, do you think Damon said the heir for a day comment? And I think he did.
Yeah.
I think he did. Now, I was debating on that. Now, I don't think it was said out of, I think he was saying it out of, like, everybody was expecting him to be cool, and Damon was very emotional in that moment. So he said something to sound cool. Like, he said something.
No, I think it was grandstanding completely.
Yeah, it wasn't for him. It was for the crowd. The crowd was expecting him to say something like that, so he gave it to them. But I think that the moment that we saw of him holding Viserys, like that's what he really wanted to do, and it wasn't something that he was capable of doing at the time. And he sincerely regrets not just being there to hug his brother and comfort him during a time of such a tremendous loss. Like, he regrets not being able to do that. And looking back on it, like that's all he would have wanted to do. So that's what we're seeing. And that final boss moment, he's accepting that that's what he should have done and what he wished he had done differently.
Yeah, that he had handled his grief differently, because Damon was really young when that happened. And like, it made sense for his character at that time to go seek comfort in the way that he sought comfort.
But now looking back, and it's tragic because he doesn't get to do that because, you know,
and he still couldn't bring himself to admit that he said it. He never admits it to Viserys in this vision. He's like, you're still mad about this? Like, yeah, he's still mad about it. He died mad about it, literally.
He has every right. Yeah, while I do understand what Damon was doing, Viserys had every right to be pissed. So...
Oh, yeah, and Damon, like, asking Alys for counsel, and she's like, oh, you're asking for help? And he's like, counsel.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
I love it. And like I said, this was my favorite Harrenhal episode, just because you have Damon being super bratty, but he's also realizing more and more that Alys has a point. And so she's like, okay, I'm going to let you finish with your little pouty fit, and then we're going to have a conversation. Like, I love that she's just like, whatever, like, throw your little tantrum, but I'm still going to make my point because I'm not afraid of you.
Yeah, totally. When he was like, it's counsel, I was like, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this, Damon. It's help. You want her help. You want a woman's help.
I do think that, like, we can definitely see some of the definitive differences between Damon and Aemond. Like, he's at least willing to hear her, whereas Aemond is like, I'm not willing to hear shit. Like, everybody is sick and tired of Aemond at this point.
Yeah.
I'm very curious for like I'm very much looking forward to Alys and Aemond and how that's going to go down. Now that we've seen Alys.
Well, I mean, I have said this, and I will continue to say it, and I want to make a video about it before it's too late. Alys is most definitely using Aemond to like be his demise. Like, she's manipulating him in order to destroy him. There is absolutely no love there. And I think I made a video about it. It was just so long ago. But that's what's happening. Like, there is absolutely no love there for the man who annihilates her entire family. And it's weird that people romanticize that. Like, you need help if you think that that's... no relationship with Aemond is a healthy one. His relationship with his brother is bad. His relationship with his sister at this point is very, very bad. Because when Helena looked at him and said, "Was it worth it?" It wasn't just about Aegon. It was about the death of her child. Because Aemond is responsible for that inadvertently, but he is responsible for what happened to Jaehaerys. Because if he had not done what he did, none of that would have happened. So she's asking him as a total, was this all worth it? Was it worth the life of your nephew, my child? Was it worth your brother and permanently disfiguring him? Like, she's asking kind of the same thing that Alicent is. When is enough going to be enough for you? Like, are you happy now? Is it enough? And no, it's not. You still see that there's this great big hole there. And I love that Larys is like, please, Aegon, I beg of you, come back.
Don't die. Please don't die. Look, I'm going to level with you. You're
listen.
going to be sidelined by society. It's going to suck. People won't want to look you in the eye. But that will be your advantage. So please don't die.
Larys is like, please don't go away because he is crazy. He's crazy. About the only thing that Aemond said that was in any way logical was like saying, "Hey, bring Otto back as hand."
Yeah.
Like, that's the only thing he said that made any sense whatsoever. Because, dude, otherwise he's very messy.
Yeah, honestly, I think that, sorry, the garbage man is here, lady. The garbage person is here. So it's going to be that for a second. That scene between Larys and Aegon, that conversation, sorry, I'm reading a message, is one of my favorite scenes so far of this season. That's the kind of, like, dialogue that I want to see in this show, is what we got there.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you think Otto and Aemond will play out as hand and regent? Dailies, I think that Otto is going to try to give Aemond good advice, but Aemond is not going to take it because he knows better than everybody. Like, he believes very strongly and has said it he's said it a lot that he's the smartest person in the room. So I think that while it is a good decision to bring Otto back, I don't think he's going to take the advice that Otto gives because Aemond's just not like that. I thought Aemond called Larys a toe at first.
He's kind of a toe.
That is pretty funny. Aemond is the only worst kind of facts and logic guy. Yeah. Let's see. Is Aemond not...
Oh, I was just watching the scene with Diana and the Madam and how they're like laying the foundation for the riot. And I thought that was really well done. Really, really well done.
Oh, yeah. I think
using Diana for that.
Really brilliant. I think Masaria's whole plan was brilliant. Like, sending those ships in. Oh my gosh, this is so calculating because now obviously everybody is against them. And at least now we have it explained. Like, I was so confused when that scene did not happen at the funeral because I was like, where did that scene come? Like, did they just cut it? But no, it was coming from the Sept.
Eric. Yeah, so I'll be really curious. I think that what am I trying to say? The something bad is going to happen to the Madam. I think that's being...
Oh, yeah. No. Oh, but I think that not only that, I think it's going to happen at the hands of Aemond specifically. I think he's going to, I can't say it. I think he's going to unalive her. So I think it's going to be very personal. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think he's going to find out that she's been spreading this stuff, and he's going to unalive her.
Yeah.
Which I mean, like, she's over here saying, like, people like her are the ones who paid the price. And so I think that this is kind of being set up to Aemond's going to find out, and he's going to view it as such a betrayal, even though he's already betrayed her. So, like, it's interesting, but I think that it's going to end with him taking her out.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to step away for just a second.
Okay. Yeah. I think he is going to execute her for inciting a riot. Absolutely. I think he's going to discover that she was the one because she said it in front of an entire tavern. I mean, there weren't a lot of people in there, but there were enough people who heard it who are going to know where it came from. So let's see.
Sorry, it's very loud in my house right now, so I have my mic off. I think I got it under control.
I lost it at Alicent getting hit with a fish. Yeah, that was one of the highlights of this episode for me because she was like legitimately surprised, but it was like her Joffrey moment where she's like, "What? Where did that come from?" Like,
and it's like all it was so gross. I kind of went like that when I went.
So Alicent getting her Joffrey moment was hilarious. Getting hit right in the face with a fish. Oh yeah, Haley, I did feel bad for Helena because every time Helena just like tries to have a moment, she just gets crapped on, and I hate that. Like, and it's also, she's getting brought out against her will. Like, she didn't even want to go to the Sept, but her mom just brought her out, and then a disaster happened, just like it did when she was brought out for her son's very public funeral. Like, can we not give Helena a break?
Almost like she already knew that it was going to be terrible.
Yeah. I feel so bad for Helena. Anytime she steps out of the Red Keep, I mean, even inside her own home, even inside the Red Keep, she's not safe. Like, nothing good is happening to Helena right now. Yeah, I can't wait for it either, Brittany. But, like, also, I think about Aemond's reactions to the riots, and I think about, like, him unaliving the madam in a really bad way, like feeding her to Vhagar or something like that. I think that's going to happen. I think like he's going to burn her with Vhagar or it's going to be something awful. So I feel really bad. Like I'm kind of rooting for her character now. Let's see.
Hey, I will be back in 2 seconds. 2 seconds.
Who called Rhaenyra the rightful queen? Okay, quick question. Does Dorne ever get involved in the dance? Not really. No, they kind of stay out of that. I think they were done with dragons after everything happened with Aegon's conquest. Okay, did you pick up on Alys saying she's a barn owl in this episode? Yes, I actually think that Alys is a warg. Which would kind of make sense because her magic is kind of tied to the old gods and the weirwoods. And I mean, we see that the Starks are wargs. So I think that it is very much like, I think that that's what's happening right now. I think she can become an owl. I think she's a part of Harrenhal. I think she's a witch. I think that everything that everybody's saying about Alys is true. Like she's a multitude of things. Guy walking by Hugh Hammer when he found the food. Yeah, that was absolutely insane. Let's see, me too. I just wanted to hug her and protect her. Yeah, like Helena being victimized every single time she steps out her door is just freaking heartbreaking. Aemond Tate calling the starving Smallfolk brokies. Yeah. See, could she possibly be? No, I don't think that she's the three-eyed raven. I don't even think that Blood Raven is the three-eyed raven. So I think that that's something that's going to come to Bran. But I don't think that Blood Raven. I don't think that Alys. I don't think anybody's the three-eyed raven until we get Bran being the three-eyed crow. And it's the three-eyed crow. I'll get show brain every now and then and say three-eyed raven, but it's technically the three-eyed crow.
Three-eyed crow, yeah, because show says it so many times it kind of gets stuck in your brain.
The show keeps on saying three-eyed raven, but it's actually in the books it's the three-eyed crow. But I do think
three-eyed crow sounds a lot better.
Yeah, I do think Alys is not like she's not the three-eyed crow, but I do think she's been alive for a very long time.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that Larys has word powers. I think that Larys is a master manipulator. I think he's better at it than Patar Baelish.
I agree.
For those of you who don't know, Patar Baelish.
Patar.
But I think that Larys is much better at manipulating the situation than Peter Baelish. But I do not think that he's a warg. I don't think that there's really anything special about him, except for he's just going to pick the side that most aligns with elevating him. I think that's the point. Crows are associated with Bran and Euron. Ravens are associated with Cold Hands and Blood Raven. Yes, that is. Oh yeah, that's Chelsea.
That is Chelsea.
Chelsea, come back. It got stuck in my mind, and it's easier for non-book readers to understand. Yeah, Farrah, I always, like, I get show brain all the time, and I would like to say that. Like, I'm not like a book reader elitist where I don't ever get things wrong, because that happens with me all the time. Like, I will get show brain and have to remind myself, oh, wait a minute.
Same thing with me. I have to even go back, and usually I'm really good at Googling and going to Wiki of A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
It will just tell me and be like, oh yeah, that's how it happened, because I get show brain so many times.
And it's actually been a really long time since I've watched the show Game of Thrones. Like I told you the other day, this is what I always tell people who say that they hate House of the Dragon so much. If it's no longer bringing you joy or happiness, then like step away from it. For me, the show Game of Thrones stopped bringing me any sort of joy. So I don't even rewatch the first few seasons. Like I don't watch the show anymore at all.
Eric reminded us, Wiki of Asapov,
a very German term. Asapov. Okay.
Hi, Estella. How are you doing? Yes, Chelsea is the blood owl. That's her spirit animal.
Exactly. But I mean, I think overall the episode was really good. I think probably one of my favorite parts was obviously, like I said before, the scene between Addam and Seasmoke. Like, I love that Seasmoke took his own power and decided who he wanted to be his rider, and like basically gave Addam an ultimatum: either get comfortable with me or I'm going to eat you. So pick side, man.
What I was thinking when I saw that, Seasmoke's like, I guess you want to play hide and seek with me. Bet.
And oh my God. Like, I loved that. Like, my immediate thought was the sound on TikTok that's like, excuse me, do you have time to talk about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ?
Exactly. That audio fits.
The Lord.
Don't run from the Lord. It took me out, and then at the very end he's like, look, either you ride me or I'm going to end you.
Yeah,
so pick one.
You can be a dragon rider or you can be dragon food. Like, pick. Okay, so what do we think about in the preview where Rhaenyra's like, the audacity of you to be riding a Valyrian dragon? Like, what do you...
She has no idea who he is.
I think she has no idea who he is, but also like, lose the attitude. Like, stop it.
Well, think of it this way. It's her ex-husband's dragon.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see that. Like,
Her
like
deceased husband's dragon. I mean, it's a little close to home for her. It's not like it's sheep stealer or cannibal. It's Seasmoke.
Yeah.
So that's probably
Rhaenyra is kind of like, I'm going through a hate-love thing with Rhaenyra right now. I'm still very much on her side, but she's saying and doing some things that I don't like, while also still, I mean, there's so many aspects that I still do like about her. But I'm like, okay, so you kissed Visaria. Couldn't you have kissed Alicent like a while back, and we couldn't have, like, we didn't need all these problems.
Exactly. And the moment that they dismissed, or Aemond dismissed Alicent, I was just saying, I was like, you did all this, bitch. You did every single part of this, bitch. Why are you surprised?
You did it all for nothing. And it's like, you have to think about the position that Alicent would be in had she just accepted Rhaenyra as queen. She'd probably be on the council. She'd probably be respected. But unfortunately, like, it's a little too... And you see that in Rhaenyra when she pleads with Alicent to be like, okay, this is our one last opportunity to squash this and fix it. And Alicent's like, nope. And even in that moment, it's like, what are you doing? What are you actually doing right now? I fully don't understand. And I think she realizes it in the end, like when she's at the Grand Council and everybody's picking Aemond over her. But it's like, you had this opportunity just days ago. Rhaenyra was still giving you this opportunity, even after, oh, their baby. Their baby.
It's little baby. Little baby.
Rhaenyra is still giving her this opportunity to, like, fix it, even though so much has happened. And Alicent's still like, no. And now look at you. Now look at you. You don't have a seat on the Grand Council. Your son is completely out of control. She knows full well that Aemond is responsible for what happened to Aegon. Like, Alicent isn't stupid. She knows. And like, for what? All of this for what? You have absolutely no power whatsoever. And if you had just accepted Rhaenyra, you would probably have a seat. You would probably be respected. But now you have nothing. Like, absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I love that for Alicent, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it's the irony of it all that she did all of this to put her family in power, and yet her family doesn't respect her. Your friend, your best friend, you wish she was your lover, like, respected you so much more.
1000%. And
I think it's really ironic. Sorry, Taryn.
Nope, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm really sorry. I wasn't paying attention to you. I'm sorry. And now I don't even remember what the fuck I was going to say, so that was pointless. Sorry.
Well, Alicent made her bed, and so she has to lie in it.
Opportunity wasted because Alicent would have so much more now. She would have the power that she sought. Jace and Helena, like, that was Rhaenyra's original suggestion, was that they be married. Like, so much could have been avoided, Alicent, had you just not been a bitch.
I was going to say
1000%.
The irony that Otto had always been like, oh, Damon would be another Maegor, and now they have Aemond.
Now they literally have, and I mean, I'm sorry, but let's not insult Maegor here, because let's put some respect on this man. Yes, he did dragon slay, but he did not march a dead dragon through the streets of King's Landing. He was not that stupid. So please stop. Like, let's put some respect on Maegor and not even, like, Aemond is so much worse and so much more stupid. Like, this is a little child who literally, I mean, Alicent did say it correctly. When are you going to get over all of this stuff? I mean, he's never going to. And that's the irony of it all. He is going to keep holding these grudges and keep being so freaking mad over what? Like, is it not enough that you have the biggest dragon? Is it not enough that everyone is terrified of you? No, it's not. You just want to keep pushing that envelope. Like, instead of having it out with Aegon when he embarrassed you, instead of just punching him in the face and having it out with him, you burned him. And then it's still not enough for you.
And then on top of that, goes and sees him while he's all laid up in bed and, like, continues to torture him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, a lot of this stuff could have been avoided if you had just chosen to get into a fist fight with Lucerys. Fist fight Aegon. Like, you're going to feel so much better when you hit the people who wronged you. I promise you. I promise you. You do not have to try to unalive them or successfully unalive them. Like, you can do this in a much more healthy way that will make you feel better.
Oh, no, you're not wrong. Someone said, did you clock the spikes on the wall behind Helena during the mob? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we in the business call foreshadowing.
Yeah.
The business of what? I don't know. Media consumption, I guess.
And that just, like, that physically hurts me. I'm not prepared for that emotionally at all. I don't, since they appear to be cutting Maelor, because obviously Aegon is in no position to conceive Maelor. We don't see Maelor anywhere. He's not even being meant. Of course, this could be a Daron thing where he's like a ghost child and he comes up sometime later. But I don't think they're going to give us Maelor. And I'm grateful for that. Like, thank you. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate you for sparing us all of that, because I didn't need it and I didn't want it. I think a few more things are going to happen to Helena that are traumatizing, and she's just not going to be able to handle it. Like emotionally, not like maybe it is the storming of the dragon pit. Maybe she's around for that. And then when she sees Dreamfire and what happens, she goes mad and just.
In the book, it's the opposite. In the book, she dies first, and Dreamfire breaks
one of them. That's what I'm saying. Wouldn't it be so poetic if the show turns it around and watching Dreamfire, like watching what happens to her, is what drives Helaena insane, and she just says enough.
I just don't feel like they've established enough of her relationship with Dreamfire for it to like.
It's crazy, which is crazy.
Non-existent.
This is literally the only time Helaena was ever happy in Fire and Blood, was when she was with her dragon or with her children. Like it says that in Fire and Blood. That I don't understand why we don't have a relationship between Dreamfire and Helaena, because then it would make a lot more sense if what happens to Dreamfire is what pushes Helaena over the edge, because of the bond that they shared, and now she's gone.
And Dreamfire is really fucking important.
Yeah. I think that would be better for me, just because like then we don't have to know anything about Maelor, and the whole Maelor thing doesn't happen. Let's see.
All right, can we move on to Damon at Harrenhal?
I mean, we kind of.
All right, wait, is that next? What's next?
I don't know. I don't have my list in front of me.
Okay. No, I mean, poor Jaehaera, who is taking care of her while her family falls apart. I think that Helaena is a good mom. I think that that's kind of the irony of being raised by. But I also think that goes to show you that like we make our own choices, because look at the choices that Alicent made versus the choices that Gawain made. And Gawain grew up in the same like dysfunction. In fact, he had it worse because he didn't have a father. Like he didn't have either parent, and yet he still turned out to be a relatively good person. Not
is that why he turned out to be a relatively good person? Is because Otto isn't really who raised him.
Yeah, but like I do think that Helaena is raising Jaehaera. I think that's we see Helaena with Jaehaera all the time. Yeah. She's with her all the time. I just think that Helaena is going through something right now, but she's also still, I think she's a good mother to her daughter. I don't think that she's being forgotten. At least she's not being forgotten by Helaena. That's not happening here.
It just let me invite Eric.
It did?
Yeah, he said he's going to be on soon, but it just popped up. Do you want to invite Eric? I'm like, yeah. And I sent it. So. Okay. The appeal was approved.
Appeal was approved. So he's back. We are back.
Okay. So give him a few.
Oh, okay, so I want to go back to the Dreamfire thing, Ashley, because I think what you're saying, what you said about if it had been switched, I think that makes a lot of sense in the books, because we have that much more established bond between Dreamfire and Helaena, and I feel like the show hasn't earned that positioning yet. You know, like I feel like if Helaena killed herself because Dreamfire died, we'd be a little bit like, who? Dreamfire who? Like in the show. I'm talking about in the show, because like you don't really know who Dreamfire is in the show. But the reason why I like it being the way that it is, which is that Helaena dies first and then Dreamfire dies, is like the parallel that it creates of Helaena dying after witnessing one of her twins die. And then in the storming of the dragon pit, Dreamfire witnesses Shrykos and Morgul, her twins that were born at the same time as Helena's twins, being slain. And that's like her 13th reason why, and she breaks the fucking roof. Like, it just works for me.
I'm depressed now. I don't want to talk about the storming of the dragon pit anymore.
I was like,
it's hurting me.
I was like explaining to my mom, I'm like, you have to understand that everybody dies. Like you need to be prepared for that. And she's like, no, not everybody. And I'm like,
yeah, that's what I had to explain to my husband.
I think that's going to be the poetry of it all when we have the final scene of the show being Aegon III and Jaehaera, because they're literally all that's left. I mean, obviously we have Viserys as well, but he doesn't come until later.
We don't know we have him for a while.
But it's going to be like Rhaenyra's two boys, and Jaehaera is all that comes out of this. And I mean, yes, there are yes, some dragons do survive, but most of them are gone, and it's over. Like, they can't reproduce anymore. So it's going to be just, woo, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, because I mean, that's really what it is that
I'm so glad that we're breaking this up with Dunk and Egg. Like, I'm really glad that they're breaking it up now. We're going to get that positivity broken up with trauma dumping.
Yeah, see, Courtney in the comments just said, as a show watcher, like exclusively as show watcher, I can confirm I have no idea who Maelor or Dreamfire are. So, like,
yeah.
I mean, the show has, I mean, we see Dreamfire for approximately 2 seconds and no one names her. We only know that it's Dreamfire because we know.
And she's somewhere in the dragon pit.
Courtney, or I'm sorry, Dreamfire is Helena's dragon, and you see her in season 1 of the show. Aemond goes into the dragon pit, and it's the dragon who's blowing fire, and little child Aemond is like looking at her mesmerized, and that's Dreamfire. That's Helena's dragon, or it's supposed to be Helena's dragon, but we never see them together.
Yeah.
They're together a lot in the book. They're apparently not together at all in the show.
Someone asked this question earlier in the chat. Do we think that this season's going to end with the Battle of the Gullets?
I mean, I have to tell you that when Jane mentioned the gay abandon, my stomach dropped. I was like, no, the gay abandon.
Yeah.
No, I really don't. I'm not ready for the Battle of the Gullet, but I think that they're going to do that in the episode. I do.
Do you think what? Sorry, Ashley, I missed that.
I'm not ready for the Battle of the Gullet just because I love Jace so much, and I do not want to let him go. But I think they're going to do that to us in the final episode. Like,
you do think that'll be? Because I mean,
I think it's going to be. I don't want it to be, and I am hoping that that's not the case, because I would love to go 2 more years of Jace being alive.
Yeah,
same.
That's what I would prefer. But
and it would be like kind of like a stab in the heart to end season 1 with the death of Lucerys, and then season 2.
Oh, Taryn, leave me alone.
I'm sorry, that would be absolutely horrible.
That's the rudest thing you've ever said to me, honestly.
And honestly, I love the chemistry happening between Jace and Bela. Like, you can see that this would have been such a loving, like, coupling between the two of them, and they're so close to it. They're so close to being of an age to be married, and I'm just like,
it's such the like dangling, it's the dangling in front of you of like what a decent monarchy could look like. I mean, this is not a pro-monarchy story, but if we're gonna do monarchy, I feel like Jace and Bela.
Okay, so like that, and that's the thing that I've always said to you guys. Like, there are good monarchs of this story. The problem is that there's always inevitably going to be a bad one, and that's the issue with monarchy. Is you never know like which descendant is going to be the next Maegor, like be absolutely awful. So,
which is why Dany cannot have children. This is why Dany's story is not about Targaryen restoration. It's about the dragon.
Daenerys would be a wonderful queen, absolutely wonderful queen. But her child after her could also be a wonderful. Like, they could be a wonderful ruler, and their child after them. But the next child could be the next Maegor, and then
eventually the foot will drop. The shoe will drop.
And we're not just seeing it happen with the Targaryens. We're seeing it happen as well with the Blackfyres. Like, you had Damon 1 and Damon 2, who were really, really good. But then you get to Meleys the Monstrous, and then you're like, oh.
Oh my gosh, you guys, by the way, we need to like get back. I know we've all dropped off. We're so close to being done with our reread. Speaking of Meleys the Monstrous, makes me think of Barristan and Blackfyres and all of that. And like, there's so much I want to say about that. I won't do it here, but we got to get back.
I can't wait for you to read Dunk and Egg, because I know you are going to see that, not just because of that, but you're really going to see the references to Daenerys and her future. And there, like when Dunk says, and he also thought dragons could hatch from stone, one more as likely as the other. And I was like,
for context.
No, I know.
Everything everything Dunk says in the mystery night where he's like, that's not likely to happen. That's not likely to happen. You're like, but it does happen.
Yeah.
But it does happen.
We have a heckler named Eric, not Arik, in our comments. He's really heckling me right now. He's asking me why I'm outside. He's hassling me for not reading Dunk and Egg like he didn't already know.
We hassle Chelsea on the daily. On the daily, we hassle her about reading Dunk and Egg. And we will continue to harass her because
why are you such a poser, Chelsea?
you have to understand the phenomenon behind Dunk and Egg. These books are just, they're heartwarming. And then you're going to see so much of Dany in them that you're going to be like, this is great.
Right,
I
like
love it so much.
You're like, I know the reason that Chelsea hasn't read it is because there's no Dany, and so you have to try and sell me that there's like a sort of version of Dany in it.
Yeah.
Well, you have Dunk referencing what Dany's going to do in the future. You have so much of who Egg is as a person. Like you'll hear Egg say things and be like, "That is so Dany coded," because it is.
Little smart ass.
And like the things that he says that are so like such dry humor that would go over some people's heads that you're like, oh my gosh, yep, that's Dany.
Yeah. God, because I do love that how like most of the people around Daenerys do not understand her sense of humor at all.
Yeah.
And they're just like, what? And I'm like, bitch, this is funny. Let's see. I feel like there was something. Oh, he's back.
Here's back.
That's right. Y'all couldn't get rid of me. You tried to cancel me, but I will not be silenced.
You will not be silenced for hate speech.
Okay, so do we think that at this point that Kristen and Alicent are done and over with? Like that's done?
And does he even go back to King's Landing?
I don't think it is either because she's making like baby eyes over at him. So
I love how Dwayne is just like, really?
You are not looking for me. Like, go tell your
bitch.
wife.
You lying?
You are not looking for me, bitch. I see what you're doing. But I love Gwen. I can't even hate him.
I really can't get enough.
Like, and
someone had asked earlier.
Like, I think he's attractive. Like, I'm just gonna go ahead and be honest.
Someone asked earlier in the chat what we think about the like shift in Kristen. Like, there's clearly been this like shift in him, and I think it's fear. I think he's terrified.
Yep. Oh my gosh! Like, we literally said that at the same time. I swear.
Yo, my brain.
He is not well. He has gone from being confident and cocky to actively avoiding being in the Red Keep. He is terrified of Aemond. That scene brought him to his knees to see what Aemond, not only what the dragons are capable of, but it is really what Aemond is capable of. Like, Aemond is a monster, and he sees that like Aemond is willing to do anything, and he will hurt anyone for power. And he knows at this point that Aemond is not above doing anything at all. Like, Aemond was fully prepared. He was walking towards his brother with a sword, fully prepared to be the one to end his life. Like, it was done. And I think that's
yes.
Oh,
look at the lockets.
I'm actually wearing my dragon locket right now. You guys can't really see it because it's so small, but look.
I love them.
You guys are like the best cheerleaders.
I am so excited. I'm even more excited now after this episode and seeing Seasmoke, and like I'm like, yes! Like,
I was so watching it, I was like, I can't wait to make this locket.
I would like to go on record because I know there's going to be a lot of Seasmoke orders after this episode. I was the first. The first to order a Seasmoke locket.
I'm so excited. I ordered because I just didn't expect this to take off. Like, and by the way, I never would have even tried this if you guys hadn't been like, yeah, that's a great idea, do it. So thank you for that. But like 45 orders, like that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Less than a month, like through an Etsy, like my Etsy shop anyway. And so like just like keeping up with it has been a little bit overwhelming, but like in a good way, you know. It's just the whole thing is really fun. It's really fun to see like what people choose, like who the fan favorites are. Like Drogon and Dreamfire are like neck and neck. I've got like 6 orders for them each, and then like you know, I love getting the weird ones. Like Estella got Grey Ghost, which is, it's that white gray one in that picture actually. And it was like, I had to get really fucking creative, like on what to use in there. And then like someone else got Cannibal. And so like I put a bone in it. Like, it's really fun I like the weird ones. Like Ashley, can I tell everyone? Yeah. So Ashley ordered,
I'm so excited.
She ordered the Ice Dragon from like the story, The Ice Dragon by George R. R. Martin. And so like, it's going to be like whites and blues and grays and stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm really excited to make that one. Ashley, you guys actually all made really fun orders. So thank you for that.
I am so excited.
Oh, you're frozen.
Uh-oh. Repeat that.
Oh, I'm so excited to have the Ice Dragon one and have like that frozen look to it, like that icy look. I'm just like, I seriously can't wait for that one. And it's my theory. It's my baby.
I know. I just did this like big order for supplies. So like I was able, because these are pre-orders, I was like able to like have specific dragons in mind too while I like purchased it. So like I got some really pretty shit for like Seasmoke specifically and the Ice Dragon specifically. And I got my first Meraxes order, which I'm really excited about because I haven't done any of the silver dragons yet. So I got some like stuff that will work for silver. So anyway, I won't dominate any more of the conversation here. I just
no, but you got this. You are very talented and you're doing such an amazing job.
I'm really excited about them. Charlotte's, my daughter Charlotte wanted Maylee's, and her locket is coming today. It's out for delivery, so she's really excited about that. And
and I love it because she got like a smaller one. It's a small gold one, and so it's like it's going to be such a good size for her because she's little. Yeah. I'm just really excited to see it on her. And then like, oh my gosh, like, I did. In the comments, people are talking about that, like they've purchased them. Cause like, I don't know, you know, people's real names versus like their usernames. And so I'm probably like, it's probably people that I know from like interacting with them on TikTok, but I just don't know their real name. So like, for example, Redhead Scribe has ordered 2, is wearing the Maylee's locket and ordered a Dreamfire locket. And it's like, I never would have known that. So I guess what I'm saying is if you know me from TikTok, you can like, you should say that in your order and like, tell me what your user handle is. But I just would love to be able to put the two together.
Farrah wants to know if you ship internationally.
Not yet. And that's because like I've had my Etsy shop for a few years and it's never had such like this volume of stuff before. And international shipping is just like, it's tricky. And so it's a matter of me, like, I need to know that there's enough of a demand for it to make that aspect of it worth it for me to like, but I really want to. And I have had a lot of inquiries about international shipping. So it is something I'm actually currently looking into, like how to do shipping from home versus like having to go to the fucking post office every day. Oh my God, because
I can help you with that. I can give you the 411 on that.
I'll ask you about it because this morning I went to because I just use like a kiosk at the post office. So I go in with 11 fucking packages and you have to like enter in all the information individually for each one. I get them all fucking entered, 11 of them. I'm standing there for like 20 minutes. It won't accept my card. So I try another card. It won't accept that card. And then after I tried the second card, it deleted my entire fucking order. Like all the addresses I had entered. So I just left. I was like, I can't fucking do this.
I'll show you how to do it through Etsy. And also there's a discount through Etsy that you get through whatever mailing service that you're going to choose. And they make it super easy to do international as well. I got you on that. We can do like a FaceTime.
Okay, well, you heard it here from Taryn. She's going to show me how to take care of international shipping because, like, honestly, there's enough people just in the comments here that are interested in international shipping, but I think it would definitely be.
I did like 500 orders, and I shipped to Germany, Austria, just like every place in Europe. Like, I got it. I got you.
I'm the idiot. Somebody also asked.
Somebody asked, who's the better toxic older brother figure duo, Larys and Aegon or Aemond and Kristen? I don't even think Aemond and Kristen have anything going on anymore because Kristen is legitimately terrified of him. Like, I cannot stress this enough. Kristen doesn't want to be in the same room as Aemond right now. He's so uncomfortable being around him. So, yeah, it's going to have to be Larys and Aegon because I at least like that moment because Larys is coming from a real place of giving Aegon really good advice. Like, that was sound advice, what he was talking to him about. So I'm going to go with Larys and Aegon.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm like I said, that scene between them in this last episode is like top 5 for the whole season for me. That is peak A Song of Ice and Fire television for me. That exchange and dialogue and shit was just so good. So human, so raw.
Yeah, it made me feel, Tom's performance was getting me to feel ways about Aegon, because I was like, God, just give him the milk of the poppy, please.
My mom's home.
Do you think Cole could take? No. Dante Wilkerson said, "Do I think Cole could take Aemond? Not at this point, because he's legitimately afraid of him. Like, he doesn't want to be. I cannot stress it enough. Crispy Cole is no longer the man on top. He has created a monster that he is no longer in any way control of. So,
quote, his own quote: "We have given the war to the dragons."
And he's like, I don't even think it's the dragons that he's really, truly afraid of. I think it is Aemond and what Aemond is capable of doing. And now he knows that capability is anything. Like, Aemond does not care who gets hurt. He doesn't care. Like, he's fully a loose cannon. And Kristen also feels partially responsible for that because he created him. So, like, he's terrified of Aemond.
Chelsea, you are muted right now.
I can't hear you.
Also, you're frozen as well.
Oh, she's frozen and muted. Uh-oh. You were frozen and muted.
Oh, you're muted. It says it at the bottom corner.
Okay. Sorry. I was saying Taryn is going to show me how to handle international shipping, so I should be able to offer that like in the next few days. So that's exciting. Thank you, Taryn. Everybody thank Taryn.
That is an exciting development on this episode.
It looks like you have a whole bunch of international orders in these comments who are like dying for their lockets, which I can verify. They're so pretty.
They are very pretty. I love mine.
I still have 2 lockets on the way. I got Dany's dragons, and I got my I was lucky to get Viserion in a gold egg. So I'm happy with that.
I think I'm going to get God, which ones did I say I was gonna get Morning for sure, and then I think I'm going to get I said 2, I don't remember which ones, but I know for sure I'm gonna get Dreamfire. Morning in a gold locket.
And you're gonna get Shriekus.
Oh, I haven't done
Shriekus.
Oh, Drogon. Maybe Drogon. Drogon and Morning.
Yeah, so there are a couple dragons that don't have canon descriptions. Like Shrikos and Morgul are not described like in the books. We don't know what they look like. Like, I've seen fan arts that have them as like black and green, but there's no like canon description. So like those are a little tricky because I don't know what they looked like. I can't figure out select Craxies on Etsy. So you just, there should be like 2 little things. Like, one is a drop-down box where you select the style of locket you want. And then there's a little box where you can actually like type something in, and that's where you put the name of the dragon that you want.
Make sure you put your username from TikTok so she knows it's from you.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, like, seriously, I have I'm going to be making these for a while, so there's no rush. If there's, like, more than one that you want, like, I'm going to get all of the styles back in stock, like,
I think I want to order Sunfyre now. Like, I want to order, eventually, I want to order Sunfyre just because the Sunfyre locket that you made is so beautiful, and I want it in gold. I want it in a gold locket just because the moment that Sunfyre cried in that episode, like, I was ugly crying. I started literally sobbing, and I was like, I did not expect to be so attached to Sunfyre, but I still am. Like, I'm emotionally, I want to know where he is right now. I want to know.
No one's talking about him.
Are you okay? And I mean, like, I feel so, like, I hate it, but I feel kind of bad for Aegon because he has to be wondering at this point, like, where's Sunfyre? Like, what happened?
I know. I kept waiting for him to ask, but I guess he can barely even
talk right now.
speak.
I don't think he can actually really speak right now. I think he's having a tough time with that. But I do think that he is very upset about Sunfyre because, like, you can see the two of them, between the two of them, that they are very bonded. Like, that there is a relationship there that is a genuine one. But I'm also really mad at him because Sunfyre was, like, so innocently thinking, oh, we're going to go flying. We're going to have fun together. Like,
going on a drunken romp, which they've done like a million times before.
Yeah, I can just see Aegon being like, here you go, and like tipping it back into his nuzzle. And like Sunfire's like, woo!
Yeah, like he thought it was just going to be a little drunken romp with dad.
Of them being like just dumb young kids together, and then it wasn't.
He did not have a good time.
No.
Yeah, I will never get over Rook's Rest, to be honest. I don't think I'll ever recover.
No, that episode is going to stay with me. And then just like seeing where Vhagar's priorities are. Vhagar just wants to take a nap on the ground and be left alone.
The grandma, just leave the grandma alone.
Aemond keeps Aemond's forcing her to kinslay, and it just sucks to watch.
Yeah. And it was like, I know we talked about this in our last live, but I just rewatched that episode, actually, the Rook's Rest episode. And like the contrast of like, Rhaenys prepares Meleys, like tells her we're going into battle again. Like there's no surprises for Meleys. She looks at Rhaenys. Rhaenys has her fucking battle crown on and shit. And she knows what they're doing and where they're going and why. Sunfyre had no fucking idea. He's just like, cool silver outfit, dad, or whatever. Valyrian black outfit, dad.
He's like, oh, we're going on a walk? Cool. I need to stretch my wings.
Like, you're a little overdressed, but like,
while we're talking about like Kristen being afraid of Aemond, like I think that Alicent is also afraid of him. Like I don't think there's probably too many people who are not terrified of Aemond right now. And I think that the scariest part about Alicent is that while Aegon was a huge frustration for her, I think she's genuinely sad that her child is.
You cut out. Is she cutting out just for me?
Am I still here?
Oh, okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, am I back?
Heard everybody.
Okay. So I think like the thing that is probably like really grappling with Alicent right now is that she's responsible for what's happened to Aegon. And like Aegon's burnt up and he's in this position all because she pushed him so hard to be king when this is not even something that he wanted in the first place. Like Aegon just wanted to get drunk, ride his dragon, and sleep around. Like he didn't really have any other aspirations that went beyond that. And she forced all of this on him. Yeah, he didn't want
Aegon's just kind of a lowlife.
Yeah, like he was, he was
like
I mean,
he's not
nothing. I do believe that. Okay, so I don't like to defend Aegon in any way, but I think that he did say that in Fire and Blood. Like, what kind of brother would usurp his sister's crown? But I don't think it's coming from a place of loving Rhaenyra as much as he's like, this isn't mine. Like, I don't want this. And it's not mine. I wasn't raised. He wasn't raised to want it.
It's the perception for him. It's how people would perceive him taking his sister's birthright. That's what it's about. It's not about the morality of taking something that wasn't yours. It's about like people will look down on me for taking something that isn't mine. Because for me, like Aegon as a character, his primary motivation, the thing that drives every decision he makes, is this deep-rooted insecurity. Like deep-rooted insecurity. And everything he does is in the interest of trying to make people like him. He's trying to get people to think he's strong and tough and capable and all of these things. And the harder he tries, the less those things he becomes.
And it's in these moments that Alicent has to realize that all of this, like Aegon would be fine. Helena would be fine. The twins would be like everything would be fine. But she pushed for this, and now she's losing her, like, she lost her grandson. Her daughter is distraught. Her son is mutilated by her other son, who is completely lost to her now. Completely lost. And she's like, none of it was worth it. Like there's been no payoff. There's no payoff at all.
When Alicent had that final, like, trying to reach him, you know, and touches his face and is like, aren't the indignities of your youth, like, satisfied or whatever? I wrote on my notes, I was like, yeah, queen of too little, too late. Like, that is Alicent. Alicent is the embodiment of too little, too fucking late. Yeah, go sit by Aegon's bed and then walk away. That scene where she leaves and then he says, mommy, for me, the direct foil is Catelyn and how she wouldn't eat, wouldn't sleep, wouldn't leave Bran's side.
Yeah.
But Alicent is like, well, there's nothing that I can do, so I'll just go do something else.
I completely 1000% agree. Also, I have about 5 minutes left on this, guys. 5 more minutes.
Okay.
I noticed that
Team Catelyn for life, because Catelyn would never.
Never.
So who do you think will be the first to actually call Aemond a kinslayer? I think everybody's probably already calling him that in the streets, but like to his face, that's an interesting question. Maybe I would like it for it to be the madam, to be honest. Before I think that he's going to have Vhagar burn her, so I would really like for her to look at him and be like, "You're nothing more than a kinslayer and a crazy man." So I like that idea. Like as her one last hurrah of saying that to his face. Because she's been, I mean, like I said before, I think she's been kind of like she has been nurturing to Aemond, but also at the same time, she's been terrified of him as well because he's been unstable. And I mean, if Vhagar's going to burn her anyway, she gets to be honest with him and say, hey, I've thought you were crazy this whole time, and you're also a kinslayer.
They call Aemon a kinslayer a lot in Fire and Blood. Like he's just referred as a kinslayer. It's like, okay, they're talking about Aemon. Like they say it a lot.
That's one of his names, Aemon Kinslayer and Aemon One Eye.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kills a lot of kin.
Yeah, seeing Vhagar in the preview for, I do think that he's going to have Vhagar burn the madam for spreading the unrest. Like that's a really good point in the comments. Alicent thought she was ruling regent when Viserys was sick, but it was only Otto who let her think that. Like Otto was the one who was ruling, not Alicent. Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, but yeah, it's like you said, she is the too little, too late queen because, like, you can see when she's touching Aemon's face, like that's not even registering with him anymore. Like, if you wanted to do that, like the time for that was like a year ago. You could have still fixed that a year ago. But like but when you think about it, that really wasn't that long ago, and yet she refused to fix it this entire time until he's become so out of control that everybody is terrified of him. And she knows what he did. She knows he did that to Aegon. She knows that wasn't Rhaenys, and there's nothing she can do about it. So, oh well.
Yeah. Rogue, you're asking what dragons I do for the lockets. I'll do any of them. They're custom, so you can request whatever dragon you want.
Like I did an ice dragon, so because technically,
I think eventually I might. I might open up other fandoms too and do other themes.
I would love a Smaug locket.
I know. Yeah.
I would love it.
All the possibilities for Chelsea opening up to different fandoms. I'm so excited.
You could put like some little gemstones in there because
I feel like this is a good place to ask. What about sigils? Like house sigils, the colors?
Yeah.
Like I wonder if people would like that.
Favorite houses of the Seven Kingdoms?
You know I would like that because I would like a black on a red background.
Yeah.
Or like the Danes would be pretty because it's like purple.
Purple, yeah.
Oh, and the Boltons would be really pretty.
Oh, because they have pink.
Yes.
There's pink.
I need a special Muppet edition of the Tully sigil.
What did Helena mean when she said they stopped singing? Remember her saying that?
Okay, I thought that was Aegon. I thought she's referring to Aegon, but in the scene right before, they did also talk about how Daeron is like skilled with his lute, but maybe more with his sword now.
I'm just holding it.
So I thought it was Aegon. He doesn't remember anything, so he's not going to talk.
That made me think about the claiming, like the attempted claiming of Seasmoke, how they were singing to him to bring him up. And like maybe it was alluding to, because I don't remember if this was said before or after we see that happen. Maybe it was like a foreshadowing that it goes wrong because one of the dragon keepers gets lit up too. Which, by the way, I kind of have to eat crow on something I said in our live last week, which was that we were talking about how people morally position John as like John. What am I trying to say? Executing someone with a sword being morally superior to Daenerys executing someone with a dragon. And someone in the comments was like, it's more painful to die by dragon flame than to get your head cut off. And I said, I'm pretty sure that if you're getting blasted like directly in the face, like you don't have time to register. But then Seasmoke went and proved me wrong on that.
Okay, so
guys, I gotta go. Okay. But when I leave, this live ends. So can someone else pick it up?
Yeah, do we want to do that? Because I can go on now.
I mean, I still have time.
I could stay on for a little bit.
Yeah, I have to go to motherly duties.
Okay, bye, honey.
Bye, bye. We'll be back shortly.
Love you.
We'll be back.
That's right, we're back. Thought you could get rid of us, but you couldn't. Whoever it was that reported us, we're back. We're here to stay.
You'll never get rid of us.
Trying to get rid of, exactly. Jealous.
Never.
Because really, what else are we going to do? Oh, let me get this up here. Let's get everybody back in. Hello, Farah, again. Let's see, what were we talking about? It was, I forgot.
I don't even remember now.
We're so back. But now where's Ashley?
She's coming. She's coming. What were we talking about?
Stop singing. The insect stopped singing.
Thank you.
I do think that might have been a reference to Aegon, but that was just my first thought. Because I think you were saying like
in
it's
what
because
way?
he kept saying like I don't remember anything, which is like him saying I'm going to keep silent because of course he remembers everything.
Oh, okay.
That's the way I took it. That's the way I took it as is that like, but the singing thing with the dragons that could be interesting, but that does happen way before.
It happens
the
before.
Aegon scene happens way before as well, so it's like it's. I think it's all fair game.
Like when in the episode does the stop singing thing happen? Is that said? When does that happen?
That happens right after the sibling discussion. Alicent says bye to Gawain, and then she goes up to meet Helena, and then that's when that scene happens.
Okay. Oh, when because the cricket stopped singing. Okay, got it. The cricket stopped singing. Yeah, that's probably Aegon. That makes sense. I'm like really mulling it over. Sorry. You're getting my like real time trying to think about it. Aegon said snitches get stitches. True. Yeah, he definitely remembers. Definitely.
Yeah, I felt so scared for Aegon because he kept saying like I don't remember anything, and Aemon is just like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?"
Oh, and how he was like pushing that ball into his wounds. He's a monster.
Oh, can we also talk about how that was disgusting? The pulling the skin out of him. Like I got flashbacks to like Jorah with Grayscale.
Yeah, brutal. Yeah, I think everybody's scared of Aemon right now, as they should be.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody is terrified of him. Like, even Kristen. He had Kristen on his knees. So, Kristen is not well right now.
No, he is not. Ooh, ouch. Is Rhaenyra watching Stefan direct foreshadowing of her own demise. Brutal.
Ooh.
It was lettuce, not
skin. To say in
skin.
her defense, she seemed pretty horrified by that. Like,
True.
she was not happy that Stefan got burned.
No, not at all. She even said, like, I'm not, like, commanding you to do this. Like, you have a choice in this.
She gave him, I mean, I will say that, like, Rhaenyra that was not forced. She said that he was risking his life. Like, she told him the risk.
I thought it was so funny how he was like, the dragons are gods, and immediately was like, I'll do it. I thought he was going to be like, the dragons are gods, I could never, like, how dare I, which I think would be the appropriate response, but he was like, bet.
I really think that that was really more about, like, he wanted to serve her. I think he was dedicated to that white cloak.
True. Fair. But there's also, like, an arrogance with it, which I think is ultimately why he got what he got. Seasmoke was like, you could use a little humility here.
Also, this is old news, but I remember when I looked it up. Sir Stefan is who's with her in King's Landing.
Yeah.
I remember we were confused about that
Confused
when that
about who that
happened because he was like, "Who's that guy?"
Yeah. Oh, the slap, right? I liked that she slapped somebody. I just wish it would have been Sir Alfred.
Exactly.
That guy needed to be slapped, but she took it easy on him. She was like, I know you've been trying my patience, but you were loyal to my father and you hate the High Towers. And then this other guy, she's just like, bah!
She should have sent him to the dragon. I mean, Celtigar is a Valyrian house.
That's true. But I guess she's thinking like that it has to be Targaryens because they weren't dragon riders. And she's like, it has to be a dragon lord, right?
I do think it's so iconic that she just got sick of it and she was like, okay, come on, Cyrax, we're done. I'm done sitting here. Like, we're
waiting.
gonna go. Like, she was fully prepared for a fight. She was like, let's go.
I did love how when she slapped him, though, he was just like, oh.
He was like, what?
My God. Like, what? I loved how she delivered that line, though. It's my fault, I think, that you've forgotten to fear me. I was like, oh, Rhaenyra the Cruel. There she is. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know as far as like if we sat down, is what they said about how Darkland has Valyrian blood true in the book? Like, who is that person that she mentioned? I did not know that name.
I have already seen people complaining about that. It's one of those things I don't care about, but it is.
I don't care. I just was wondering.
Yeah, it's a made-up name, and I know people are already like going to testify. This show is trash because they made up Ariana Targaryen, who apparently would have been born. Somebody did the math. She would have been born after the conquest, so it's like, why haven't we heard of her? Whatever.
I mean, for me, it's like it didn't really end up mattering anyway because he died. I could see the complaint being valid if it had allowed him then to have the bond. But I think the way that it is, it's like questionable. Was Rhaenyra even right? Did he even have? We don't know. We don't know.
That's a good way. They were definitely talking about it as if it's desperation.
Yeah, because she was like digging through things trying to find someone who had.
But look at what Jay said to her. Like, how much of this family history is factual? So it's like it's just laying out the hard facts for her. Like, yes, we need more dragons, which I hate that, by the way. Like, no, you don't. No, the fuck you don't. But also at the same time, he's like, why are you relying so heavily upon this being true?
Well, and something else that I think is really funny about Rhaenyra's approach to the dragon seeds is like, she's actually not looking for dragon seeds. She's not looking for bastards. She's looking for Valyrians of other noble houses that married into other noble houses. Like, so this dragon seeds thing is not what she had planned. She didn't plan for Ulf or Addam or Hugh Hammer. That was not who she was thinking.
But there's also a sense of there's no way of knowing who is going to be worthy and who is not. So obviously Hugh and Ulf are not, like, they're garbage, but Addam does have a legitimate bond with Seasmoke. Like, that's that like there's a true bond there.
I'm going to be very curious to see how Hugh and Ulf bond with Vermithor and Silverwing. I'm very curious how they do this in the show. Like, why? I have always wondered why. Why do Silverwing and Vermithor bond with them? Why?
Yeah, that is something I don't understand because, like, I would think that Vermithor would be like, ew, I don't like you. Eat.
Oh, that's a good point, Redhead Scribe. Show Hugh and Jaehaerys men who let their pride ruin their family.
Ooh.
Oof. Vermithor has bad taste in men. And it's like, yeah, I'll be very curious to see how they do this because I really enjoy how they did Seasmoke and that it very much is showing that even though there is this blood magic happening, the dragon does choose within that bond, right? So it is still restrictive because it's magic, it's blood magic, and that's all bad and everything. But there is agency and autonomy within the bond. And I like that they explored that by both having Seasmoke reject somebody and then intentionally seek somebody out that he'd actually been flirting with for a while. I love that too, that he had seen. And it makes so much sense because every time he sees Adam's like on the beach and stuff. And so that speaks to him because Adam reminds him so much of Rhaenyra because they're literally fucking brothers. Like, that's beautiful. I love that. I also think it very much means that Rhaenyra has died off screen. I mean, that's just my assumption, and that's my headcanon that I'm maintaining.
Rhaenyra said that he had become very restless, and
and she said, "Oh, it's because he's lonely." Well, that's what Mysaria said, which is true, but I also think it's deeper than that. I think he senses
that he's lonely because he senses that the bond is gone.
It's broken, yeah, and so he needs a new one, or wants a new one, rather.
Do y'all think the Targaryens in general are a result of blood, like the Targaryens bond with dragons are a result of blood magic, but the Targaryens are just a lowly Valyrian family.
I do think, though, that there are consequences for humans because of the blood bonding with dragons. So you see that with Rhaenyra and Dany having these dragon babies. So like,
and they aren't the only ones, are they? Because some of Maegor's wives had dragon babies, did they not? Or
yes, but here's the thing. One, you know, that could be because Maegor is a Targaryen. And two, there's all this like, where's the information about Maegor coming from? Where's the information about all of his women coming from, right? Like, so how do we know that
any of it's true?
That any of it's true, right? That it wasn't just, oh, Maegor is a sorcerer baby, a sorcerer, like, you know, born of sorcery because of Visenya being infertile. And then he goes on to have all these creepy, weird babies. Is that not just justification to end him and his line and to, like, cast them aside in history? You know, like, and I'm not saying that's necessarily true either, but that is the kind of, like, those are the kinds of questions we have to ask about the material and the information that we're given in Fire and Blood. Seasmoke is the DNA paternity test. Seasmoke has determined that you are the father, Corlys. But also, like, how are they going to do that? Because it is not because they are Corlys's children. That's not what's...
Okay. This was a question that I had, like, because I'm really curious because Valyrians are not...
Exactly.
Writers. So
it means it had to have come from their mother.
Where is the... It's
the mom.
It would have to be that mom was a Targaryen, like a dragon seed. So it obviously would not be because of Corlys. And I mean, obviously we know that Alan is not going to be a dragon rider, so...
Well, and I feel like, okay, so we get that scene with Rhaenys where she's, like, touching Alan's face, and she says something about, like, your mother must have been something special, basically. And so there's a part of me that wonders if she was, like, Rhaenys, but the ocean version. So, like, she had the silver blonde hair, she had all those things, she probably was a lot like Rhaenys, but she was salt and whatever, wind, or whatever the fuck Baela said to Corlys. And that was, you know, he's gone for a long time. And what I'm getting at is, like, she probably was outwardly, obviously Valyrian, and he was attracted to that for obvious reasons. Why does Alan have silver hair but Addam doesn't? I mean, genetics.
I actually think that this is great because I think that it speaks to like genetics are, I mean, it's a roll of the dice, you know, like.
Oh, that's a good point too. Like the Targs and the Valarians have like intermarried. So like, who are Corley's parents? Like, does he have exactly? So does he have? He probably has.
He may be of Targaryen. He may be of Targaryen descent because it has said.
Yeah, he does not have any listed parents.
He what?
The Targaryen
doesn't have listed parents. Got it.
It says in Fire and Blood that the Targaryens and the Valarians have been mixing.
Well, yeah, we know that
for quite some time. So
that's a really good point. Thank you.
So Corlys may have a Targaryen parent.
I stand by, though, because of the nature of like dragon seeds, especially around Dragonstone, that the mother was probably also Valyrian. I feel pretty confident. That's going to be my headcanon, that she was like the ocean version of Rhaenys. And he was like, bet. Because he loved her. Idea. Like, he loved Rhaenys. You know, yes, he had bastard children. It's complicated. He was out at sea in war all the time.
Yeah, I don't like Corlys for that, but I also, like, I try to remember that they did have, like, they were the only couple in the show that I was really rooting for.
Corlys was the firstborn child of Lord Aethon Velaryon and Lara Rogar.
Is that true?
Where does that come from? Where are we getting that information?
Where are we getting that?
Oh, okay. Eric says, yeah, just kidding.
No, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's in the wiki. I did look that up because I think we talked about that before. Who are like, because we talked about where does the dragon stuff come from with the Hall kids.
Yes, Kendall Nettles was not a well. That's why I think her story is so important. Just because Nettles is not of Valyrian descent, or like she's not a Velaryon, she's not a Targaryen, she's not a Dragonseed. There's nothing going on there with Nettles that would lead her to have a blood bond with a dragon. I don't think that Nettles had a blood bond with Sheepstealer. I think that their bond was organic. And that it had absolutely nothing to do with magic. I say it all the time, but I'll say it again. Nettles is special because she's not special, because there's nothing special about her blood.
I agree.
And that's what makes the bond so unique. And I think that it's George foreshadowing what is going to become of Viserion at the end of the books in the main series. That Viserion will not be Viserion and her children bound by blood magic to anyone.
So by not having Blood Dragon 2, he could be lying in the show. Yeah, I mean, that's what Eric was saying earlier, is it's possible that they're giving multiple parts of Nettle's story to multiple different characters. In which case, maybe Ulth is full of shit. He's not even a dragon seed, and we'll see him bond with Silverwing similarly, you know, giving her food and stuff like that. We'll see. We'll see what they do with it.
Of the two of them, I can definitely tolerate Ulf a little more. Like Hugh, I just want Hugh to get killed in a mob right now.
I'm so over him. And he just started. I don't like him. I don't like anything about him.
Yeah. Why? Why though?
I just don't like his like blue collar believing in the king and then being like, dragons are just meat. I'm an atheist and I don't believe in any of that hillbilly nonsense. Like, I just don't like him.
We're ready for him to die already.
It was when he said, well, first of all, I don't like his whole, like I said, the blue collar believe in the king thing. His wife calls him out on it. I think that's goofy and foolish. And then I hate how he's like, they're just meat. He clearly does not give a flying fuck about the sanctity of the dragons.
He doesn't deserve a dragon. Like, why does this man get a dragon?
And then the hypocrisy of him, that we get a scene between him and his wife where she's telling him that the neighbors are like stealing each other's shit and he acts like he would never do that. And then we see him punch some fucking guy in the face and steal his carrots. Like, he's a fucking hypocrite. I don't like him.
I really hope that that's for his sick child and that it's not for like no invalid reason.
Well, I mean, everybody's starving, so it's always a valid reason, but you're stealing from other starving people. And you had just been talking shit on people who were doing the same thing.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, shut up, Hugh.
Okay, yes, I get it. Like, he was stealing food for his daughter out of desperation. So were all those other people. All those other people have dying children who are starving too. That's my point.
Yeah.
Like, he threw all of his morality that he was using as like a positioning to be better than everybody.
Yeah, I
before.
think that's the point that Chelsea's trying to make, is that the audacity to say that and then turn around and do the exact opposite. Like, he loves to see
why he didn't even try to go to the boats and get his own food. His immediate impulse was to just beat someone up and take it from them.
Yeah. Like, there
and he exactly, thank you, Sweet B95. Like, if he would have put aside his pride and left when his wife wanted to leave, he wouldn't have even been in that fucking situation.
Exactly. Like, she had been begging him to leave for quite some time, and he chose to stay until it was too late to leave.
And you don't see her. She was in that scene too, and she wasn't beating up other people and stealing their food.
Absolutely not. And it's the fact that he said that, like, it's the fact that he said it, like, that, like, that it was barbaric or that it was wrong, and then he turns around and does it. So, okay.
I mean, they're using him to make commentary on how these things turn people into monsters and you know, their basis instincts come out, but doesn't mean I have to like it. And it certainly doesn't mean that I have to be like, bravo, Hugh Hammer. I don't like him.
Indy, yes, we did discuss the kiss. It was awesome. And I think that if everybody had done that already, we could have solved a lot of problems.
No, I won't leave him alone. Andy, make me.
Like, I hate Hugh. Like, so, I mean, I'm going to say that loud and proud. I wish he would go away now.
Yeah, and I'm super curious, like, because even based on the book Hugh and the book Ulf, like, I never understood how they were able to bond with dragons. It never made sense to me, like, why? And so I'm very curious to have that filled in.
Why does Aemond not take Vhagar to wipe out the blockade? Because he's too busy right now on his little power trip in King's Landing?
Bringing in the triarchy, that is a choice, man. I like how everyone at the council table was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, the office, like, looking into the camera, breaking the fourth wall. They're just like, the who? The triarchy?
Haley, Alys Rivers is a queen. He's probably my favorite character in the show right now. I am so utterly entertained by everything going on with Alys.
Sun asks, is Vermithor blackish or grayish in color? No, in canon of the books, Vermithor is bronze. He's known as the Bronze Fury.
And so pretty.
He's bronze with great tan wings.
So pretty. And almost of a size with Vhagar. Like, he's the second largest dragon.
He's the biggest of Vhagar's babies, yes.
He's a big baby. And honestly looks a lot like her.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, God, he's got a cool design. I can't wait to see him up close. Those horns are really cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have seen little clips of him, Nessa, we saw him, that's who Damon was singing to, right?
It was Vermithor, yeah.
In the first season. And then we get a shot in the trailer. That's the big dragon behind Rhaenyra for, like, just a second in the trailer.
So do we think that that's what, like, is going to drive Hugh to go to Rhaenyra? Is because, like, he sees that she sends all this food and he's going to be like, ooh, I'm going to go take, you know.
Yeah, see, that's another thing that I can't.
He doesn't even know that he's a dragon seed, does he? Like, is he even aware?
No, but I think that him saying that they're just meat thing is positioning him. That's going to be his mindset when he goes to claim a dragon in terms of, like, he's not going to be like, he's going to be telling himself, fortifying himself, like, they're just meat. Like, I can do this. They're killable. I can do this. Like, I think it's kind of establishing this, like,
that's what confuses me the most too. It's like, I mean, we see that Seasmoke was like, the audacity, burn. Like, so how is Vermithor not going to be like, ew? Like, I don't like it.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm really curious how they play, especially that we see that the show is really delving into these dragons having really distinct personalities, which I'm loving. Like, you know, Melee's has a very distinct personality from Sunfyre or Seasmoke, from what we've seen, like, very distinct personalities. And we know that that's true with Dany's dragons too. So I really enjoy seeing that. And so I'm very curious to see what Vermithor is like. What is Vermithor's personality? What is Silverwing's personality? And why do they then, you know, bond with these two people?
Well, okay, so
Vermithor can fix him. Yeah, Vermithor has like a complex about wanting to fix broken men.
That's that's what I'm like. Okay, so Vermithor, I can understand bad taste in men, but like Silverwing, I am disappointed in you.
I feel like Silverwing, it's going to have something to do with, I feel like Ulf and Hugh are going to like do it together. Like, I feel like they have to, because for me, it's like Silverwing's going to do it to go along with Vermithor, or the other way. So is it that Ulf and Silverwing bond, and then Vermithor's like, well, gotta go with my lady? Like, you know, I don't know. That's why I just keep saying, like, I'm super, super curious to see how they play this. If you could, what dragon would you like to be a rider of? I have too much respect for the dragons to ride them, so I wouldn't do that. But if I could bond with a dragon and hang out with a dragon, Viserion, obviously. And then Dreamfire.
I would have to say Seasmoke, just because, like I said, that's the reason why I ordered that locket, is because I am so attached to the ocean. And obviously Seasmoke is of the sea, so I think we'd vibe. We'd be over the ocean all the time together, just chilling.
Oops. Sorry, we got quite a few. I'm going to read these comments real quick.
Let's see. Tessarian, gosh, but like, it's like Chelsea said, like, I really don't want to ride a dragon. I would just want to hang out. Like,
oh boy, we got a lot of comments here. Hold on.
oh my gosh. Yeah, hold on, guys. We're trying to catch up. Dragons are something that they should have never messed with. Yes, the most truest words coming out of Viserys' mouth.
Okay.
Like, because they just, dragons are not meant to be ridden. They're not meant to be used for political gain. They're not meant to be harnessed to be abused for power. They're just not something that they should have ever messed with. So very true.
Someone said, wasn't it Otto who negotiated with the Triarchy, not Aemond? Is that, I don't, Otto's not around.
In the book, it's Otto. Here, it's going to be Tywin.
Did you catch that, folks? Okay. Oh, and I didn't even think about that. They're engaging the Triarchy, right? Yeah, when Rhaenyra's son, because they're setting up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vermithor is grandpa, right? Well, so I mean, Vermithor is of the second generation of dragons and born of Vhagar. So technically, Vhagar's grandma.
But Vhagar is also mother to everybody. So,
but spiritually,
yeah,
you look at them jowls. You look at them jowls that Vermithor has, and he's a peapod.
Grandmother to everybody.
He's peapod, yeah. I mean, definitely, he's old and he's big. But Dreamfire is actually older. Dreamfire is 2 years older than Vermithor,
which is interesting.
And then Silverwing is the youngest. Silverwing's the baby of the three.
Let's see. Maybe.
Where do wild dragons stand in size? So Cannibal is the biggest, then Sheepstealer, then Grey Ghost. And that roughly correlates to their suspected ages.
Sheepstealer actually ends up being the one who everybody says it's Cannibal. No, Sheepstealer kills the most Dragonseeds who try to claim them. So Sheepstealer kills more than the other two combined, is what is said in Fire and Blood.
So the Smallfolk of Dragonstone speculate that Cannibal was on Dragonstone before 114 BC when Daenerys came. So of the wild dragons, Cannibal is the most likely to exist outside of the Targaryen lineage of dragons, whereas Sheepstealer and Grey Ghost could have been hatched of eggs from Targaryen dragons because of like their ages. So Sheepstealer hatched sometime during Jaehaerys's early reign.
Yeah.
What are those, Eric? I don't know what those are.
Do you guys think they're going to change Aemond versus Damon fight? I hope not, because I feel like God's Eye is so iconic. The only thing that so the main thing I don't like about God's Eye, the main thing that pisses me off is that they could have done that on foot. Like, it was not necessary to get Vhagar and Caraxes involved at all. But like they did not need to be involved. Both Damon and Aemond are very capable swordsmen. They've had swords in their hands since they were little kids. They were more than capable of fighting that on the ground without their dragons. They didn't need those two at all. So that was my main problem with it. But I still think like we could still see the same result with them on foot. Like they didn't need to do that on dragons.
I don't know if this was intentional, Sky, but your comment says probably Vermithor saw some familiarity between Jay and Ugg, and Silverwing just followed him. And I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it's perfect. I'm going to be calling Hugh Ugg for the rest of my life. And then Haley says, and I wanted to talk about this earlier when we were talking about dragons in the Vale. Do you think if Rhaena does claim Sheepstealer, she will also disappear into the Vale after the war? And so this made me, having a dragon in the Vale, the reason why I like it is because to me it's reinforcing the whole Fire Witch dragon in the Vale, and that's where the burned men went to like get their rite of passage. And so I'm like, I like that the show is kind of saying, yeah, that probably happened. In the book, it would have been with Nettles, but you know, maybe it's Rhaena because we don't know what happens to Rhaena in Fire and Blood because that hasn't been written yet.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be cool if the show went the direction of like Rhaena and Sheepstealer fuck off the way that Nettles and Sheepstealer did, and then Rhaena was the witch in the Vale, the Fire Witch, which would be sweet because you know she thinks that she doesn't have like as great of glory ahead of her as like Bela.
Better than her marrying a high tower.
Yeah, no shit. And then I mean, I just would really love for one person bonded with a dragon to just fuck off from the war and like say, I'm not doing this with my fucking dragon. We're not doing this.
Yeah. I really want to see that.
Don't talk to me or my son ever again.
Ever again. That would be me. I'd be like, we are out of here. Goodbye.
Peace.
Going to the Mother of Mountains.
When they're worshipped as gods or a god and a fire witch for the rest of their lives. Like that sounds like a happily ever
That's
after.
my dream.
I want to be
literally
a
my
fire
dream.
witch and a god together and like take turns.
Who like men come to get burnt to see if they can like withstand your fire magic, to see if they're actually men. I'm into it.
Like, I could just imagine like Nettles sitting like on a full blown throne, and then like Sheepstealer's just right there behind her. Like, okay, let's burn the next one, Mom.
Hold on, I just saw one. Is Otto not answering Alicent because he doesn't care anymore? I think it's because he's up to something.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think he's not in the places she's saying she's sending shit. I think he's doing something else.
What if he's already talking to the Triarchy?
Yeah, maybe they are gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope so because he's the one I would rather have negotiating with the Triarchy than fucking Aemond. I never thought that I'd be like, remember when Otto was in charge of things?
Yeah.
How dare you make me feel this way, House of the Dragon?
Exactly.
Yeah, what do we need to do to see Helena with Dreamfire once? I know. They're not going that route with her character, I don't think.
Oh my God, man. Like, just give it to her one time. Like, she's going through the craziest stuff. Just give it to her once.
Yeah, Rhaena does marry. I just meant that, like, we don't know about, like, how she dies and stuff. Like, we don't know how Morning dies either. Or when, for that matter. There's like an estimation. It's assumed that she must have died before the last dragon was born. But that's as much as we know about it.
Sean, my thoughts on Rhaenyra this season. I still love Rhaenyra's character. Like, I am still rooting for her. But I do think we are seeing the downward decline of where her mind is going. Like, I think that she's becoming more and more negative as time goes on. And, I mean, that's to be expected. And I don't think that anybody ever talks about this enough. Like, Rhaenyra is experiencing so much loss and chaos in her life. And so, but that's the tragedy of it all, is she's losing the plot because of everything that's happening. And, she could have been a good ruler. And we see that Jace and Bela would have probably been good rulers. But then the inevitability comes into place of Jace and Bela having children and then their children having children. Like, who's going to be crazy next? Who's going to be horrible next? Who's going to be evil next? You just, like, that's just that's the issue with the monarchy.
Yeah, it's the nature of power. See, people conflate that as being a Targaryen thing, madness. It's power.
Yeah.
Which is why Cersei being the Mad Queen, being the Ares parallel is so fucking important.
Yeah, and that's just what it is. Like, that is what comes into play with everybody who sits on this chair, is that you never know who you're going to get next. And it's a coin toss. And it doesn't matter if it's a Targaryen, a Baratheon, a Lannister, a Blackfyre. It doesn't matter who's sitting there. Eventually, you're going to get another crazy, another evil person. Like, somebody down the line somewhere is going to be awful. And that's the problem. Like, and you can't stop it because it's a birthright thing. It's not like these people are elected. It's birthright.
God, I'll never get over Sam suggesting democracy and everybody laughing him out of the fucking tent.
Exactly.
Just like, how dare you? What a weird suggestion. The people have rights? Never. I don't know what that accent was. I'm really sorry. You guys have heard much worse, but, you know.
Yeah. We're fine.
Queer Rhaenyra forever.
Yeah, I know. Queer Rhaenyra and, like, queer Targaryens, just period, are my favorite.
My mom was watching with me, and when the Mysaria scene like, she gasped a little bit when she starts moving up the neck, and I was like, I told you!
I've been waiting for that kiss for a while. Like, the tension between Mysaria and Rhaenyra, that was always going to come to fruition. I've been waiting for it. I've been waiting for it. Also, Mysaria's backstory is so freaking tragic.
Okay, like, thank you for bringing that up.
We didn't touch on this yet, and I'm truly devastated by her backstory. Like, that
doesn't surprise me, but it's so fucking sad.
Oh no, I wasn't. But, like, what hurt the most was how unsurprised I really was by her saying that. But also, it just makes me so sad. Like, this gives so much context as to why she was so pissed off at Damon for saying that she was pregnant, knowing that she knows that she can never have children, and she knew it by that point. Like, you idiot.
Andy said, Rhaenyra, I prefer duck to goose. Well, seems like you like both after all. Congratulations, you played yourself.
Exactly.
I mean,
this doesn't make Damon and Rhaenyra, and I know people are getting tore up about it. It does not take away from the relationship. It just means that, like, okay, what you view as a straight monogamous relationship, like, not everybody sees things that way. So,
well, and especially in this world, I think to pretend like Targaryens adhere to any sort of modern standard of relationships is a choice to think that.
And honestly, I gotta tell you, it's so boring. Like, why do you want them to be that way?
Oh, Eric, you were yawning. I thought you were making like a frowny face. I was like, what? I was like, calm down. Take it easy. Yeah, no, Damon's definitely not straight either.
No, he's not. And, like, I just...
Oh, okay. So, Mysaria, the story with Mysaria. So, I see a lot of people saying, that Mysaria, you can't trust her and that she's playing Rhaenyra, which I think there is an aspect of that. But that vulnerability of her telling Rhaenyra what I can only assume is the truth about her childhood and what happened, that something changed in her sharing that. We're watching Mysaria's like thoughts and feelings about Rhaenyra evolve. And so I think that in the beginning, the motivation was purely like, okay, I think Rhaenyra could be the one that I could manipulate to the advantage of the people the most. But once she got in there and started interacting with Rhaenyra and getting to know Rhaenyra and seeing that, when she's not pushed up against a corner like she is right now, Rhaenyra is tempered and she's wise and she's patient and these things that, would make a good ruler for the people. And as long as Rhaenyra is showing those traits, Mysaria will do what Mysaria is doing, and I think she'll be very loyal. But when Rhaenyra starts losing her grip, and starts making decisions that Mysaria doesn't agree with is when I think we'll see some betrayal and a shift.
That's what I think is so sad too, because like I love their dynamic right now, and it's going to be short lived, and that kind of hurts because I think that Rhaenyra knows more about Mysaria now than Damon does. So
absolutely,
like Mysaria,
100%. Damon didn't care.
Yeah, no.
Damon didn't care when she got her scars.
I think that like for Mysaria to be so vulnerable with Rhaenyra, like this relationship and the way it's playing out, I love it. I think it's great. I'm here for it. The bond between the two of them and the chemistry that they have, like, and I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, no, their dynamic is one of my favorites of the season for sure.
Yeah. That's exactly it. If he knew, he wouldn't have said that. But like, also at the same time, like he might have anyway, because Damon's just extremely insensitive, or at least he was back then. I think that a lot of him is changing right now. I think he's going through some good changes, some healthy changes for Damon. But yeah, a younger Damon who was back then saying that she was pregnant, no, he wouldn't have cared. So I think he's going to come back to Dragonstone with a different mindset. But like, I mean, the old Damon, the younger Damon, when I say old, I mean like the previous person that he was before he got there, wouldn't have cared. So
I foresee a really interesting like shift in the dynamics of Damon and Rhaenyra. Like Damon's going to come back more tempered, and Rhaenyra's kind of losing it a little bit. And someone in the comments was just like, do you think that they're going to whitewash Rhaenyra's madness? And I don't think they are. No. Like the look on her face when she said, I think it is my fault that you've forgotten to fear me. Like it's coming. It's been a slow burn. Okay, I get it. So that's not for everybody.
I do think that is coming from a place of legitimately being like irritated with her counsel for just not respecting her. But I do also think that she slapped the wrong guy. Like there were some people there that you could have slapped that actually really deserved it a lot more than he did. But
she sent him away. It was Alfred who needed the slapping.
Yeah, exactly.
And she sent him to Damon. So maybe Damon will give him a good slapping.
But like, I can understand Rhaenyra's frustration, but I can also see how like she's losing some of what her original principles were. Like your hesitation to send the dragons in, and now you're wanting to involve more dragons in your bullshit. Like, why?
Do you think there would have been a point where she would have been a good ruler? Yes.
Yes, well, absolutely.
Good in a status quo way. Like comparable, definitely comparable to Jaehaerys and Viserys.
The problem is what I just said. The problem is that Rhaenyra would have been a great ruler, or a good ruler. Then you would have had Jace and Baela, who would have probably been great rulers. Like you can see the potential in the two of them to rule well. And then, like, maybe their children would have been good, and their children's children. But somewhere down the line, you get a terror, or like someone who's horrible or crazy, or both, or just something that's just not good. And eventually, the dance was so inevitable because these people had this power. It was completely unchecked, and everybody just, I don't know. I feel like the dance was always eventually going to happen just because of the problems within this family. Like, they had too much power. So why are book spoilers so normalized with this show? The show is actively coming out. What? Okay, we're done with that. Had the usurping not happened? Okay, let's see. Happened. I think she would have been one of the great. Yes, I mean, I do agree with that, Indy. I think that she would have been a great ruler. But who comes after Jace and Baela? Like, are their kids good? Are their kids good? And that's the point that George is trying to make, is that the monarchy, it's not good. Eventually, it doesn't matter if it's Targaryen. It doesn't matter what the surname is. You're always going to get someone awful. I mean, look at Cersei as a prime example of someone who is not a Targaryen and not related to the Targaryens. Cersei is a full-blown Lannister. There's no secret Targ going on here. And yet she is just as bad as Aerys II. Just as bad. So, except for she's probably going to end up being worse because she's going to succeed at what he was not able to do. So, like the dance.
So, all three of our accounts are book talk pages.
Yeah.
So we're always going to be talking about the books. Always.
Yeah, I'm gonna,
and we always announce at the beginning of our lives that there will be spoilers. But I just have to say, for the love of God, this is a live that you can opt out of watching. Nobody is forcing you to be here. I'm not going to hold your hand through the entire discussion and tell you every single time that I'm about to lay down a book spoiler. Like, you got to be able to pick that up in the context clues of the conversation. I'm not your mommy.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that it's also marked.
We say this in a lot of our lives, and it becomes very frustrating because we have to keep repeating ourselves, and it's kind of annoying that we have to keep doing that. We're book talk creators. Like, this is a break that we're taking from talking about the books to talk about the show because the show is playing right now. But we're going to talk about aspects in the book. And not only that, but the show has deviated from the book. So we're talking about some of the differences that you're seeing, which
and some of the stuff we're talking about that happened in the book is very well may not happen in the show. So It's fully possible that what you're assuming is a spoiler isn't a spoiler.
And not only that, if you ever watched Game of Thrones, you already know how Rhaenyra died because Joffrey told you. So,
and as Eric just said in the live, there is literally a spoiler warning that pops up when you join the live. Yep. So we have taken precautions. It's not our fault that you did not heed them.
Exactly.
That's all. Thanks.
Yeah. We're having fun here. If you would like to not be spoiled, then I suggest, skedaddle.
I think about the person in our last live that was like, why do you make everything gay every day? And every time that I make something gay,
so much
I tell myself that I'm doing it to spite them. And I tell you that it happens several times a day. I choose to make almost everything gay.
Yeah.
Because I like to have fun.
Because exactly. And it's like, George likes to make a lot of things gay. So, I said this at the beginning of the live, but I'll say it again. Like, George is very, he represents so many different broad sexualities in his books. So
also, thank you. Just Alive right now said she was eaten, a quote, she was eaten by her brother's dragon. Like, Joffrey already laid down the biggest spoiler of all time.
Yeah, he's already told you.
He already told you how it ends. Who is the most interesting character this season to you? Alys, for me. But Larys is a close second.
Alys, for me, is just not any, I wasn't expecting her to be, I was expecting her to be good, but she's so much more fantastical than even I could have possibly imagined. It's been a wild ride. And also Simon. I love Simon as a side character. When he's the king, consorts. I'm just the audacity of this man to sit here and put Damon in his place when Damon is fully unhinged and he knows that. And
God, when he had him and had that knife to him and he's all shh, I was like, oh my God, this poor man. He's like, get this psycho out of my place.
Exactly. I think that Simon is amazing. So he's just a ball of entertainment, which is going to really, really suck when we see what inevitably happens to him. I'm going to be heartbroken because I have really enjoyed his character.
Yeah, I feel like people are really split.
I loved Rhaenys this season too. Rhaenys was so much fun this season. I am heartbroken completely that she's gone because she was fun, man. I had a good time. A good time was had. And even though we haven't I'm interested to see where this whole thing goes with Addam because I think that Addam is so pretty. So
yeah.
You know who's making me laugh?
Excited.
Who's making me laugh lately? Jasper Wilde.
Yeah, he's always making me laugh. Jasper.
Oh.
But her dead son, just really.
See, Alys the barn owl and her humor. Yes, Alys is so quirky.
She's giving Goblin King for sure.
I know. I love everything about her, and I'm having a good time. A good time is being had at Harrenhal. Everybody's like, I'm done with the Harrenhal stuff. I'm not done, okay? I'm fully prepared for Damon to just be at Harrenhal for the entire season. Let's go.
I know. I was going to say that earlier, that it seems like the fandom is split. Either you are strapped in and having the time of your life, in Harrenhal, or you're like completely over it and you're like, can we please get the fuck out of here?
Okay,
and there's kind of like no middle ground.
Okay, so Lady of Asai, we already kind of like contemplated as to Alys killing Lord Grover. I think it was more like a mercy killing, to be honest, because Lord Grover sounds like he was not having a good time anymore. So I think it was honestly like it was a mercy. But I am so excited because this means we are getting the lads. They're happening. It's happening. I am determined to believe that this is what's going to happen. We are getting the dynamic trio.
I feel like all of Damon's scenes could have been in one episode, but he spent in the books. He spends a good deal of time in Harrenhal, like, so this kind of has to go on for a while.
This is such a good time for him to. Okay, one, I love horror, and Chelsea and Eric love horror as well. So I think that that's why we're having a good time, because like the scarier aspects are fun, and then it's just I love the development that's happening for Damon. So we're going from just being full blown like. Just not being in control of his emotions, not being able to face the realities of what he's done and his regrets and the things in his life where he's really messed up, to having to face those things and having to come to terms with who he is and having to understand the faults and the mistakes that he's made and just the development of his character. And it's like Chelsea has already said, it's going to be interesting to watch him come back to Dragonstone having developed so much as a person while Rhaenyra has gone on a major decline. And it's going to be...
Like, just imagine a scene between them where, like, their talking points have swapped. Like, You've got Damon arguing for patience and temperance and whatever, and then you've got Rhaenyra, like, fire and blood, let's kill everybody.
It's just, yeah, it's going to be interesting. So...
As far as Damon's story, I will be the odd man out and be like, I'm a little. This episode, I kind of was like, okay, I think we need to speed it up just a little bit because I thought we were going to be done this episode, and I thought this would have been great, but it does seem to be dragging just a little too long. But I was disagreeing with everybody that was like, because people were done with it after the first episode. I'm like, we are not the same.
I didn't need 2 scenes of Viserys. I feel like it could have been one or the other.
The most important scene with Viserys, in my opinion, was the version of what Damon wished he had done when he was young.
With Aemma?
He wishes that he had gone to Viserys after Aemma and Balon died and like actually comforted his brother as he should have. And that is the scene that we really needed, because we needed to see that Damon, like, had he like knowing what he knows now, he would have done things differently. And it's just, I think that was necessary. Caraxes is beyond tired of being in Harrenhal. Oh, he does miss Syrax. I think he does.
Someone asked, do you think Alys works into that owl? We did talk about this, and I do. I do think that she is a warg. Which I'd like to point out, we're told through Varamir Sixskins that warging into birds is not particularly easy either. They're one of the harder animals to warg into.
Yeah, Sean, it did take Damon 30 years, but I think it's probably more like it took him 50 years because he's in his 50s, but I think he's always just been kind of reckless and stupid his entire life. But I do think that it's interesting that Alys is testing him in that way. And she's like, this is either going to make or break you. And I think it's making Damon. I think he's changing for the better. And we're going to see better changes in him. And that's kind of what's going to be the tragedy of it all, is like it amounts to nothing. I mean, yes, he destroys Aemond, but he also helps to destroy the legacy of the dragon. So any kind of development that he made, I mean, he's also responsible for Vhagar and Caraxes dying.
So maybe I need to put on clown makeup for what I'm about to say, but a lot of people in the comments are like, R.I.P. Sabitha and Aly the Black and stuff, but I'm not giving up hope that we're going to meet them.
No.
We've seen one scene of the phrase. Like, I'm not giving up hope.
No.
I think that we'll see them in the next season.
Just like I'm determined that we are going to see the lads. Like, we are going to have
like people are a little impatient, you know, and I get it, like, because we want to see what we want to see, but like you can't introduce too many new characters at once.
Yeah, I would say this is like saying they cut out Dantos helping Sansa because it doesn't come in at the same time as the books. Because they didn't do it until like episode 1 of season 4, even though she's meeting with Dantos like all throughout the Clash of Kings, which should have been through season 2.
Well, I think like, okay, so like the fact that we're getting like characters like Oscar and like, and we're going to get Kermit and Benji. Like, there's going to be like, I have to remind myself to be patient as well, because I'm excited about certain characters coming into the show, that I have to remind myself that, okay, wait a minute, like, they're coming. You just got to give them 5 seconds. So I still think that we still have time to see all of the characters that we're hoping to see. We may not see everybody, but I'm holding out hope. Like, I think we're going to see Black Alley.
Yeah, I'm not willing to give it up yet.
No, absolutely not.
Maybe they will make a fool out of me, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, they ended up giving Cregan and Jace less time in the show than they had in the book, which is wild. So
yeah, I'm with you there, Laura. How are they going to tie in Hugh Hammer and Ulf before the end of the season? Like, it's got to happen in the next 2 episodes. So yeah, I that is probably one of the things that I'm most anticipating seeing play out, is how and why these dragons bond with these 2 men.
Who are clearly absolutely horrible.
Unworthy.
Very unworthy. Whose dragon is Rhaena talking about?
I don't think that we'll see Daron this season. I don't think there was any casting for him.
No.
But I do anticipate next season we'll meet him.
Yeah.
If there is casting, it's like very hidden.
Yeah,
we would have known that he would have been there under a different name at least. So even if we do have a Daron, it's already been announced. We just don't know it. But I don't think that we would have heard about that.
I'm so dreading it. The one
My parents are so confused about Daron. Yeah, I had to pause it and be like, okay, so there's this son that you haven't heard anything about.
Which is interesting because, like, he should have been in scenes in season 1. Like, I think they honestly just forgot about him, or they just didn't know if they were going to include him at all. So,
I don't think they forgot about him. I don't think that we're dealing with D&D in that regard. I don't think they just forgot things. I think that if they cut a character or introduced a character late, they had reasons for it.
My reasoning is that they were unclear if there was going to be 3 or 4 seasons. There was a certain point that it was going to be 3, and then after season 1, they got a 4th season. So I feel like that added it into there.
It's important to note that I think they thought that there was a chance that the show would not be received well because of what D&D did with Game of Thrones. So a lot of people kind of wonder, like, why the cheap clothing, why the bad wigs, why was this done this way? They probably weren't sure if this was going to go beyond season 1, if people were even going to want to watch it after everything that happened with Game of Thrones.
I think you're muted there.
So the wigs, and the clothes, those.
We can hear you now.
Okay, so the clothes and the wigs, like, that was explained by just they were filming during the pandemic. So, and I believe there were shortages of a lot of things, specifically the hair. The hair was a big one, which is why the wigs were. That's why they looked frayed, because they had to keep bleaching them because they didn't have multiple ones. So they had to keep bleaching them because, like, everything, like the green from the leather was coming off on the hair. The smoke from the fire effects was getting into the hair. Just everything was, and they couldn't get more hair. And so that was definitely.
It was a hair shortage.
Yeah. So they're, this season, everything got a bump.
And it definitely just speaks to how bad of a job that D&D did with Game of Thrones. Like, that I think that was partially like they were half expecting that this wasn't going to be a success or that it might not be.
That's true. It was always a risk because it's a very expensive project. So if it doesn't, and especially now, freaking HBO is like, this is the only thing they got.
Mm-hmm.
They only have A Song of Ice and Fire because their DC stuff is not working out the way they want it to.
No. So this is pretty much it for them. I don't know. Like, Eric, do you know how many seasons they're projecting for House of the Dragon?
Muted.
You're muted.
There we go. It was probably going to be 4 seasons. I know originally it was going to be 3 seasons, which I could still sort of see, but 4 seasons to me would be enough, especially if you only got 8 episodes this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful for. It's just going to be cool that we get another A Song of Ice and Fire show, not even within a year, like earlier than a year. I think they're shooting for it to be released in like April.
Well, I really need a happy-go-lucky show where we have a little bit of lightheartedness to break up the sadness of House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
I need it. I
think it's going to end with Aegon and Jaehaera, because that's like the poetic ending of like the children of both sides have to marry each other because there's literally no one left. Everyone was already killed.
Yeah.
Plus, they've definitely made the show about Rhaenyra versus Alicent. So once their part of the story is done, we got nothing else.
I also would like them to pan in on Alicent, like slowly dying and losing it, and like just the trial. Yeah,
I want to see Olivia Cook try to convince Jaehaera to assassinate Aegon. I always like that little about like how much she's losing it at the end.
Yeah,
but
plus,
she's like,
I want to see Olivia
girl.
Like that.
Please murder this little boy for me.
Yeah,
that you're supposed to marry.
I know you're only like 6 years old, but go do it. Yeah, that would be badass. Is it too much show that when Aegon comes out of his regency, so we can see?
Okay, so I gotta hop off. I gotta get some work done.
Okay,
so this is going to be goodbye from us.
We've talked about everything.
We have talked about everything. The full episode will be up later this week because I have to get some of it from Taryn because we got axed for some reason. But yeah, I am Eric. I'm on TikTok and YouTube right now. And then
go follow us on the Wicked of Westeros because we have our own TikTok
Witches of Westeros,
on YouTube.
Yes.
Yep, and we got some more stuff coming out. But thank you so much to everyone who showed up and gave us awesome questions. And bye Chelsea and Ashley. I will see you on a little bit.
See y'all.
Bye.